And we are live for week 4. We are on London time this morning. It's going to be a great week 4, guys. A lot of exciting games to get ready for. In the first one today, it is the Atlanta Falcons versus the Jacksonville Jaguars in London. Jaguars 3-point favorites in that game. It's a home game for the Jaguars. I do like the Jaguars in this game. We're going to talk about the London game first. We're on London time this morning, guys. I promise you, I can promise you, we're going to have people in this live stream 30 minutes from now asking Jaguars and Falcons start-sit questions, and the game's going to have already started. Shout out to everyone who's up on London time with me this morning. Starting live a little bit earlier than usual, and I will prioritize, guys. We're going to prioritize, similar to the Thursday night questions, we're going to prioritize the London time questions. Let's go, Xavier. This is the best, one of the best live streams of the year is always when we get a football game going on throughout the live stream. I still got to figure out how to actually watch this game. I'm pretty sure it's on ESPN Plus. I'm hoping it's on NFL Plus also, though, because that's how I'm going to be able to watch the game. But let's get to some of these London questions. I really, really think you have to start Calvin Ridley in this game. Good morning, everyone. We're live on TikTok. We're live on YouTube. Let me find this comment again. Let me scroll up to this. Coffee or Red Bull today from Rodney. We're going coffee today. Rodney, we're already on 2 coffees. We're on 2 coffees today already. All right. Let me get to this one. I think I saw a Calvin Ridley question here. Yeah, this one. This one's easy. This one. Let's start the live stream off with an easy one. You got to start Calvin Ridley over Joshua Palmer. Let me pull up the wide receiver rankings on the YouTube live. We're live on TikTok and YouTube, as always, on the YouTube live. You get my top 25 rankings every position. I think we have 40 wide receivers in the top 25 wide receiver rankings, as has been the case in recent weeks. Man, the wide receiver decisions feel really tough this year. The running back decisions are bleak this week, as usual. Josh Kelly, I'm not expecting very many Josh Kelly start-sit questions, and it took everything in me to put Josh Kelly as low as he was in the running back rankings. The usage has been good, guys, for Josh Kelly. The matchup is good for Josh Kelly. There's no Austin Eckler this week, and still, you just can't feel great starting Joshua Kelly. And yeah, we already saw Calvin Ridley pass in these wide receiver rankings. He's my number 12 wide receiver this week. I think you got to be starting Calvin Ridley in almost all situations. I get that the last 2 games haven't been great. I get that we've seen the floor for Calvin Ridley, but man, do I want to have him in my starting lineup in this revenge game against the Falcons? Falcons defense has been pretty good. They've been pretty good. It's not even like it's a great matchup on paper for Calvin Ridley, but he's still the clear top option for the Jaguars passing attack. And I'm buying into the revenge game narrative for Calvin Ridley. I'm buying into the revenge game narrative for Adam Thielen today, too, against the Minnesota Vikings. I think there's a couple other revenge games going on across the league this week as well. The Atlanta Falcons, let me pull these numbers up. They have allowed the 6th fewest points to wide receivers this year, but they did allow 20 points to Amon-Ra last week and 19 points, almost 20 points to Jaden Reed the week before that. It's not like they haven't given up good fantasy days. They just haven't given up multiple good fantasy days to the same team yet this season. They play the Panthers, though, in week 1, Terrace Marshall and Jonathan Mingo. In week 2, they played the Packers without Christian Watson. And then last week, they played Amon-Ra. They've actually let up good games to good receivers this season. I like Calvin Ridley today. I think you got to start him in a lot of spots. All right, again, let's prioritize. We need to prioritize the London time questions. We are on London time this morning. There's a game starting in 20 minutes. All right, need to start sit. Kirk, Madison, Myers, T. Worried about Myers without Jimmy G. Yeah, the Raiders passing attack, definitely a big risk today. The Raiders passing attack is a risk today. It's a good matchup, though. This is the tough part about the Raiders game versus the Chargers. Guys, the Chargers have been horrible defensively. They also are going to be missing their best defensive player. It's an offense, you want to be able to play against the Chargers. Let me pull up the numbers for the Chargers. Yeah, they've given up the most points to wide receivers this season. Tyreek Hill dropped a 44-point bomb on them in week 1. That's a big part of it. But basically every single week, they've given up 10-plus points to 2 or 3 receivers at least. So Jacoby Myers is definitely in play still this week. I certainly don't feel as good about him, though, with Aiden O'Connell starting, though it is good news that Aiden O'Connell is starting over Brian Hoyer. I really like Madison today. Let me pull up the running back rankings. Alexander Madison feels like a really good spot for him against the Carolina Panthers. I do like Christian Kirk today too. I think I would start T. Higgins and Madison here, though. I'm starting T. Higgins and Alexander Madison over Christian Kirk, over Jacoby Myers. And I think starting Christian Kirk over Jacoby Myers is reasonable. I think I'd probably have Jacoby Myers ahead of him in these rankings. But yeah, I would go Alexander Madison and T. Higgins. I think I have them both in the top 12 at their respective positions. Both good options today. Christian Kirk or Cortland Sutton. Yeah, that one's pretty close. Let me see. Let me pull up the wide receiver rankings here again. We're live on TikTok and YouTube, guys. And on the YouTube live, link is right in the TikTok bio. You get my top 25 rankings, every single position. And yeah, I have Christian Kirk ranked down at 41 in my top 25. I actually have 44 players in my top 25. I said 40 when I earlier. I have 44 players in my top 25 wide receiver rankings this week. Man, I have Jacoby so far ahead of Christian Kirk. I think I disagree with that. I would start Jacoby over Kirk, even with Aiden O'Connell starting. And yeah, I think I have Cortland Sutton 2 spots ahead of Christian Kirk. That one's pretty close. I do think Sutton's prop lines and Christian Kirk prop lines are pretty much lockstead. Dell or Flowers or both. Yeah, I like Tank Dell more than Zay Flowers this week. I'm very nervous for the Ravens offense, guys. I think this is the only time all season you're going to see it on TikTok. I have my must start, must bench lists up. I got some good names on the must bench list this week. One of those is Joe Mixon. I do not think you can start Joe Mixon this week. I don't feel good about it. I don't feel good about Joe Mixon at all. The Tennessee Titans defensive line might be a top 3 defensive line in the league. That's what they've looked like so far this season. You look at the running backs that they've played. They haven't played any great running backs. But guys, they haven't let a single running back. The Tennessee Titans have not allowed a single running back to go over 45 rushing yards this season. Jerome Ford had a good fantasy day against them last week, but it was because he caught a receiving touchdown. And he ended up running in a touchdown too, but he only had 18 rushing yards. You really, really, really need a touchdown from Joe Mixon today, or he's almost definitely going to go under 10 points. He also doesn't have a game over 15 points this season. That's Joe Mixon, who now gets the Tennessee Titans, who have allowed the 6th fewest points to running backs this season, even though they let up 2 touchdowns to Jerome Ford last week. So yeah, I don't feel great about Joe Mixon. Really, that's mostly matchup based. And then Lamar, it's tough for me to say bench Lamar. Like I'm a very big Lamar fan. I think Lamar is still underrated in terms of how the public views him. But guys, the Browns defense is very much the real deal. The Browns defense ranks number 1 against quarterbacks, number 1 against running backs, number 1 against wide receivers, and number 1 against tight ends. That's why I'm also really scared to start Mark Andrews this week. I have him in the must bench column. You're starting him still in most spots. I'm starting Moss over Mixon. Saw that one in the TikTok live. I'm starting Zach Moss over Joe Mixon pretty easily this week. Mark Andrews needs to be started still in like most situations, but I'm starting Darren Waller over him in one league where I have both those guys. I don't think you're crazy to consider Kyle Pitts over Mark Andrews this week. Ridley, Lamb, Kyron, or Tank Dell, pick one. Yeah, you're not benching CeeDee Lamb. I get that he's playing the Pats. You still got to start CeeDee Lamb over the Pats. We're waiting to see what A-Chain does this week, or are we starting him? Anthony, this is a really, really good question. I kind of think this is the question of the week, honestly, is what do you do with Devon A-Chain in fantasy? He just dropped 50 points last week in one of my leagues with bonuses. He dropped like 70 points last week in that league. I got Nico Collins, D-Hop, and Rashad. I could start over him. Yeah, this is a tough decision. I would start A-Chain over DeAndre Hopkins. I think I would start A-Chain over Nico Collins too. Rashad White, though, is pretty close. Rashad White has a pretty good matchup against the Saints. I have Rashad White, I think, ahead of A-Chain in these running back rankings, and I think it's actually really, really close. Let me pull up the numbers here for the Saints, who have historically been pretty good against running backs. We're actually going to do this comparison on the YouTube live. And yeah, they've been allowed the 7th fewest points to running backs this season. Not a single running back has scored a touchdown against the Saints this season. And yeah, I have Javon A-Chain right after Rashad White. I might change this, actually. First of all, Kyle Pitts versus Evan Ingram. That's a close one. I have Evan Ingram ahead of Kyle Pitts today. But I think both these tight ends are pretty good options in this game. Both guys are decent options. Neither of these defenses have been good against tight ends. Kyle Pitts is in play again this week, guys. I know it's tough. It's tough out there for the Kyle Pitts people. He had 107 air yards last week. Guys, Kyle Pitts leads all tight ends in air yards. He's doing it again. He leads all tight ends in air yards. He was top 3 in air yards last season for tight ends. It's just the air yards just don't matter that much in context for Kyle Pitts because so many of his air yards are uncatchable. There's so many uncatchable air yards because of the QB situation for the Falcons. So yeah, I'm starting Ingram pretty easily over Kyle Pitts this week, but I think Kyle Pitts over Andrews is like very much in play. All right, let's do Rashad White versus A-Chain. And it obviously I'm not going to agree with Walter on this one, or I don't think it's, this much of a difference here between these projections. It's obviously difficult for a machine learning model to grasp what's going on with Devon Achane. In the first 2 weeks, he had 2 fantasy points total. He didn't play in week 1. He barely played in week 2. Week 3, he goes off for 51 fantasy points, 203 yards, two rushing touchdowns, 2 receiving touchdowns. I mean, the numbers are just really hard to wrap your head around for Devon Achane. And now he gets a much worse matchup against the Bills, but he earned more playing time. Like, I think he sees at least 30% of the snaps today for the Dolphins. I'm okay starting him over Rachaad White. I'm actually going to move him up here in the running back rankings on the YouTube live after looking at this. I'm starting Achane over White, and it's super, super close, but the matchup is not great. It's not great for Rachaad White this week. It is a good role that White has, though. We got to at least acknowledge that. Like, Rachaad White's going to play more than Devon Achane, and Rachaad White's almost definitely going to touch the ball more than Devon Achane. He has at least 14 carries now. This is Rachaad White in every game. He's run at least 20 routes in every game. He's got at least 2 catches, at least 2 targets in every game. It's good. It's good peripheral numbers for Rachaad White. Another bad matchup for him, though. He's got a string, looks like, of tough matchups over the next 5 weeks. Bye week next week. Bye week start next week. That's going to be fun. All right, let's get back to some of these London time questions. Guys, the London game starts in 14 minutes. The London game, we're on London time this morning. Shout out to everyone in the live who's on London time with me this morning. I love being on London time. It's so great to have a game starting so soon. All right, let me try to prioritize here the London start-sit questions. I'm going to try to get to as many start-sits as you guys know. I just saw a funny question about Mike Evans. I'll get to that in a second. I try to get to as many start-sits as I can. I'm going to get to 1,000 probably plus start-sits in this live stream, but I need to prioritize the Sunday, the London time questions. All right, London time question here. Start 1, Christian Kirk, Achane, or Palmer. Oh, God, this one's tough. And I lean Achane here. I think I go Devon Achane here over Christian Kirk. It's between those two. I'm playing both these guys over Josh Palmer. I like Josh Palmer. It's a good matchup for the Chargers against the Raiders. I kind of do want to see, though, how much of the role is split between him and Quentin Johnston. I expect it to be Josh Palmer, but I don't feel 100% confident that it's going to be all Josh Palmer. I still think Keenan Allen dominates the targets in this offense, and I actually think we see a lot of Josh Kelly today, too. I think Christian Kirk is setting up in a pretty good spot. I do like the Christian Kirk player prop over, I think it's like 44.5 receiving yards. I like the Kyle Pitts prop in this game too, by the way. But those are the 2 favorite props I have in this game. Is Kyle Pitts over, I think it's like 33.5 yards now. I think Christian Kirk's is at like 44.5. I like both those in this game. But yeah, I think Achane's ceiling is just too high after last week. This Bills-Dolphins game, you want pieces of this game. And I really think the Bills defense is a little bit overrated going into this game because you look at the teams they've played. Look at the quarterbacks the Bills have played. And technically, the Bills have allowed the second fewest points to quarterbacks this season. But guys, they played Zach Wilson in week 1. They played Jimmy Garoppolo in week 2, and Sam Howell last week. By the way, Sam Howell, he is on track to shatter the all-time record in sacks. Like, not even close. I think he's going to beat it by like 25 sacks right now with the pace he's on. I don't think that pace will necessarily continue. I also think, if you're on pace to break the sack record, you might not finish the season. It's pretty tough to keep going at that pace of sacks that Sam Howell is on. But yeah, the Bills defense, they've been good, but they played nobody. They played the Jets, the Raiders, the Commanders. And now they get in my mind, top 2, top 3 offense, probably argument for number 1 offense in the NFL. Guys, Tua, the whole case against Tua is on my do not draft list, by the way. He's leading MVP odds. The whole case against Tua was injury risk, right? That we saw last year. Tua has been sacked once this season. He leads the NFL in how fast he's throwing the ball. He's throwing the ball the fastest in the NFL, and he still ranks in the top of the league in adjusted yards per attempt. Like, he's throwing the ball deep down the field, and he's throwing it the fastest. Usually when guys are throwing it the fastest, it's these little dump-off passes at the line of scrimmage, and that's just not the case for the Dolphins. And Tua, you got to get pieces of this offense on the Dolphins and on the Bills in this game. This game, it should be the highest-scoring game of the week. All right, need London help. Good morning, Sam. Pick one, Algier or Charbonnet or Johnson. I'm trying to think of which Johnson you're talking about here. Nothing's coming to me. Maybe you mean Roschon Johnson. That's probably what you're talking about. Roschon Johnson. I think Roschon Johnson's the move here over Algier and Sharp. I'm okay with that. I think Roschon Johnson's a decent play against the Chiefs. Against the Broncos today. The Broncos versus the Bears game. Such a fun game, I think, for fantasy because neither defense has been good. but something's got to give right in this game between the Broncos and the Bears. And it's just insane to wrap your head around the spread in this game. Let me pull up my picks against the spread, by the way, for these games. I am taking the Jaguars -3 just because I really have a lot of faith in the Jaguars, essentially in a home game. A shout out to the TikTok live subscriber, Chris Stark 387. Sam, good call sitting Goff Thursday. I got you. I'm starting Fields today now. DJ Moore, Mike Evans, PPR. I'm starting DJ Moore, I think, over Mike Evans. It feels weird because Mike Evans is having a season. And we saw a Mike Evans question in the YouTube live earlier too. And I think the question was along the lines of like, do I start Mike Evans when he has such a high risk of getting ejected from the game? I got to move Mike Evans down here in the rankings, in these wide receiver rankings today. It feels wrong. And Walter really likes the AI model and the WalterPicks app, really likes Mike Evans because Mike Evans, guys, he hasn't had a bad game yet this season. He hasn't. And I don't think he's going to get ejected. I think that's a funny way to think about it. You know, he's playing Marshawn Lattimore today, and there's a long history between Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore. I think Mike Evans has been ejected at least twice when he plays Lattimore, and I think Lattimore maybe got ejected at least one of those times, maybe both. Maybe there's more than two that I'm even forgetting. They go back a long way. And Mike Evans has lost the battle in most cases. He has not had good fantasy days against Marshawn Lattimore, and I am like a little bit nervous about that today for him. It's not even like the Saints secondary has been that good against receivers this season. Let me pull this up. The New Orleans Saints, they've allowed about middle of the pack. They allowed 15 points to Hopkins. That was his best game of the season. They allowed 20 points to Adam Thielen, 19 points to Romeo Doubs last week. Mike Evans, guys, he's having a season. He had 18 points in week 1, 29 points in week 2, 17 points in week 3. And yeah, I'm still kind of nervous about him this week. He scored a touchdown in every game so far. He's at least 8 targets, at least 5 catches in every game so far, at least 60 yards for Mike Evans in every game so far. And yeah, I'm still starting DJ Moore over him. A really, really, really good spot for DJ Moore. The Broncos have given up the 7th most points to wide receivers this season. The Broncos defense has been terrible. We saw it last week. And yeah, going back to the Dolphins and the Broncos and trying to wrap my head around this Broncos versus Bears spread. Guys, the Broncos let up 70 points last week, and they're favored by 3.5 points on the road. That is how bad the Bears have been. And I'm taking the Broncos against the spread. Like it just feels gross, that game. But you got to pick a side. You got to pick a side in that game. And for me, I'm taking the Broncos over the Bears. Sam, Mike Evans, Judy, Josh Kelly, pick one. I'm going to pull up the wide receiver rings here again. I think I would go Judy. Yeah, I got Judy over Mike Evans this week. And I'm playing Judy and Mike Evans over Josh Kelly. And I had Josh Kelly my I refuse to bench list on TikTok the last 2 weeks. And it took every ounce of power in my body to not put Josh Kelly in the must starts again this week. Because the role is there. He's playing over 70% of the snaps. There's no Austin Eckler. And he has a good matchup again against the Raiders. Because the Raiders have been bad, really bad, against running backs. I think they're a bottom 5 defense against running backs. They've allowed the 5th most points to running backs this season. And they've only let up 2 touchdowns to running backs. But yeah, he's not a must start. Josh Kelly's not a must start. He's already let us down twice. I still think the situation, the role is good, but he's not a must start in this spot. Like I'm starting Evans over him too. I'm starting Judy over him. Also, let me know the scoring settings here too, because the scoring settings matter. Your scoring settings matter. Is your league a PPR league, half PPR league, or non-PPR league? That matters. Bro has half the Browns and Ravens game on the bench list. Yeah, Nick, I'm very nervous for, honestly, the Browns and the Ravens. I'm nervous for the Browns because Deshaun is a truly questionable player today. I think he's going to play. He didn't practice all week. And then on the Ravens side of the ball, the Browns have been the number 1 defense against all positions this season. They're the best defense in the league right now. The Browns are a very, very legitimate defense. So yeah, I'm nervous for the Ravens. And the Ravens are also without Rashad Bateman. They're also without OBJ today. So Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews, like from a target share perspective, they should be in a good spot. And I'm still nervous about them because the Browns have been so good against every single team they played. Joe Burrow had 3 points in week 1. Kenny Pickett had the best quarterback day against them. He had 11 points. And they played Ryan Tannehill. He had 4 points. This could be the toughest matchup of the season for Lamar. I'm nervous for the Ravens. I'm just generally scared against the Browns defense. All right, let's get to some of these more. I got to get back to some of these London questions. Guys, the game starts in like 4 minutes, 5 minutes. So you got to lock in. The game starts very soon. Cooper or Thielen for flex? I think I have Amari Cooper. Over Thielen. Yeah, I do. It is close. I have Adam Thielen ranked down at 30. I have Amari Cooper. It's actually not that close. I like Adam Thielen today. I don't think he's by any means a lock, though. And I almost liked Andy Dalton for him more than I do Bryce Young. Obviously, a really good matchup for Thielen against the Vikings. Revenge game for Adam Thielen today. I'm buying into the revenge games today. That's why I'm starting Ridley in most spots. I'm not starting Ridley over A.J. Brown, though. I'm seeing that question in the TikTok Live. All right, let's get to this one. 6-point QB, passing touchdowns, PPR. Appreciate the scoring settings, Xavier. Trevor Lawrence or AR-15. Yeah, Anthony Richardson back. Anthony Richardson's back today. And yeah, I'm starting Anthony Richardson over a lot of guys. And Trevor Lawrence is one of them. Yep, I'm starting Anthony Richardson over Trevor Lawrence. I think the 6-point passing touchdowns, it does change that a little bit. But yeah, A-Rich has to be started. The only guys I'm starting over Anthony Richardson today, I'm starting Russell Wilson over him. I really like the matchup for Russ against the Bears. I'm starting Kirk Cousins, Tua, Herbert, Hurts, Mahomes, Allen. I got Anthony Richardson as my number 8 quarterback this week. He gets the Rams. Not necessarily a great matchup for him against the Rams. But yeah, Anthony Richardson's rushing enough. And they already said he's going to continue running even coming off the concussion. That's what you want to hear for fantasy purposes. I'm in on Anthony Richardson. Then pick 2, Ridley, Cooper, Higgins. Olave. Yeah, I'm not benching Olave. I really don't think you can bench Chris Olave. He's my number 11 receiver this week. And then between Cooper, Higgins, and Ridley, yeah, I got Ridley. I got Ridley over Higgins and Cooper. It's a tough call. I think that one's super, super close. I'm going Calvin Ridley in the revenge game against the Falcons. I think T. Higgins has the best matchup of the group against the Tennessee Titans. A little bit tough, though, to like really buy into the matchup for T. Higgins, given the Joe Burrow situation. He did have 8 targets last week, though. He did still have 8 targets last week. So it's really close. I think all 3 of those guys are good options. I'm starting Calvin Ridley, though, over Amari Cooper and over T. Higgins. I'm not starting him over Chris Olave. A-Chain or Stevenson? Yeah, I think it's still Stevenson over A-Chain. If you come to the YouTube Live, we're live on TikTok and YouTube, by the way. I got my top 25 rankings for every single position for free up on the YouTube Live. Link is right in the TikTok bio. And on the YouTube Live, I got my running back rankings up right now. First of all, I got Alvin Kamara at number 5. Everyone that drafted Alvin Kamara, I think you should be feeling really, really good right now. It's not even a good matchup for him, and he still ranks number 5. It's not a good matchup for him against the Bucs. Bucs defensive line and run defense is good. And he still ranks number 5 because of the receiving role upside. And so, yeah, I have Devon A-Chain at number 14. I actually think he is ahead of Ramondre Stevenson, who's at 18. So, yeah, I'm going A-Chain over Stevenson. I am. I changed my answer on that one. Ridley, Jalen Warren or Dameon Pierce? Oh, gosh. I think I have them both like right around running back 25. It's a better matchup for Jalen Warren than it is for Dameon Pierce. Oh, gosh. I don't feel good about Dameon Pierce. I think Dameon Pierce has been on my must bench list every single week so far this season. And that's been correct in most weeks. It's been correct. I think last week was the first week that wasn't the case. And it's because he scored. And yeah, this week it's the Texans versus the Steelers. So yeah, those 2 guys are going against each other. The Steelers, I don't think have been great, but they've been much worse. They've been bad against running backs too. They've allowed the 4th most points to running backs this season. A lot of that came from Christian McCaffrey in week 1 and Jerome Ford in week 2. Josh Jacobs didn't do great against them last week. He struggled really big time this season, though. And then, yeah, you look at the Houston Texans, though, on the other side of the ball. And they've allowed the 6th most. So they're both bottom 6 against running backs. I actually think I would probably go Dameon Pierce over Jalen Warren, though, after looking at this. I feel a little bit worse about having Dameon Pierce on my must-bench list this week. This is actually a pretty okay Dameon Pierce week. I put him on the fringe bench list. All right, guys, the game starts in two minutes. Jacoby Myers or Nico Collins? Yeah, I think I lean Jacoby still. Hey, Sam, 2-year premium to the app. Appreciate you, man. JSN, London, Brown, Herbert. By the way, Drake London, you got to score in London. Drake London's playing in London. You got to score in London. It's just too poetic for Drake London today. I'm not starting JSN. JSN, the boom game for JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba, it is going to come. But man, the ADOT, the average depth of target for JSN, dead last in the league. He's behind everybody in average depth of target. It's embarrassing for the Seahawks and how they're using JSN right now. He can't be started in fantasy. I'm starting Marquise Brown, I think, over Khalil Herbert. And was thinking London because he's playing in London. And I'm honestly down with it. I'm okay starting Drake London over Marquise. I think I have Marquise over London. But I don't think it's that crazy to start Drake London in London. I'm okay buying into that at least a little bit. And London's not like a horrible option. He's definitely a really low floor option. I think the ceiling's okay, though, for Drake London. And in London today, starting in 2 minutes. And yeah, the Jaguars haven't been great against receivers. They've allowed the 12th most fantasy points to the wide receiver position. Sky Moore had 16 points against them. Pittman scored 24. Tank Dell had 25 last week. So yeah, I'm okay with London. I prefer Marquise Brown, and I would play them both, I think, over Khalil Herbert. But yeah, I'm cool with this one. Kirk, Sutton, or McLaurin in PPR. Yeah, this one's tough, man. I'm okay going Christian Kirk here, though. I don't know what my wide receiver rankings are going to say down below. It's probably pretty close, but I'm okay. I like Christian Kirk today. I do. I like his receiving prop too. Ridley or Tank Dell. It's got to be Ridley. Got to be Ridley over Tank Dell. Has to be Ridley over Tank Dell. I like Tank Dell a lot, and I still think you got to start Calvin Ridley over Tank Dell. I'm starting A-Chain over Hollywood Brown. Ridley, Dell, Thielen, Waddle, Judy, Thomas, pick 3. Yeah, so you got to start Waddle for sure in this game against the Bills. I think you got to start Ridley. And then to me, it's between Judy, Thomas, and Dell. I think all those guys over Thielen this week. Judy versus Thomas. Let me pull up the wide receiver rankings here again. Let me put the running backs up. I think I have Judy ahead of these guys. I like Judy this week. I've liked Judy last week. The prop cash last week, guys. We're 6-1, by the way, in the free player props on these live streams. 6-1. 86% of the props so far on these live streams we're cashing. Unreal to start the season. And we're going to keep it going today. I do have a fun prop for later in the stream. I saw a question here. Why bench Joe Mixon? Because he's playing the Titans. And the Titans have one of the best run defenses in the league. Why bench Debo? They're playing the Cardinals. Debo's coming off knee and rib injuries. I just don't see as big of a target share, as many touches for Debo today with the injury concerns. And the 49ers are favored by 14 points. So there's a real chance the 49ers get up by a lot. I know the Cardinals have had close games. And I actually am taking the Cardinals against the spread. But yeah, I don't feel as great about Debo this week as most weeks. And plus, Brandon Ayuka, the bazooka, he's returning this week too. So yeah, I don't feel as confident in Debo. I think the floor is pretty low for Debo against the Cardinals today. Javonte or Tutu? This is a close one, Aiden. I actually want to do this comparison live on the YouTube live. By the way, guys, it's London time. Guys, the game's starting. Let me see if I can even pull it up. I want to watch this game intermittently here on this live stream. Let me make sure. Let's see if I can even do this. Let's see. Watch NFL Plus. Is what on NFL Network? I think it's on ESPN Plus, though. Like, how do I even watch this game? I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to watch the game. I think it's on ESPN Plus. Someone in the comments, let me know. How are you watching this game? It's on ESPN Plus. Yeah, it's brutal. How much is ESPN Plus? I don't pay for ESPN Plus. All right, Javonte or Tutu, let's do this comparison. I think I might just need to get updates about the game. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to watch this game, sadly. All right, we got Javonte versus Tutu. Yeah, both guys I like this week. I think Tutu Atwell is really going like one of the more underlooked wide receivers to start the season because Puka Nacua is getting all the attention. Yeah, it's Tutu Atwell over Javonte, assuming this is a PPR league. And it's a good matchup for Javonte, but guys, it's a good matchup for Tutu Atwell too. Both Tutu Atwell and Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua is a must-start player this week. Like, I still like Puka Nacua more than Tutu Atwell. Meanwhile, let's actually compare these two because I'm pretty sure Tutu Atwell has more air yards than Puka Nacua. Like the role that Puka Nacua has, he's like this target hog. And let's look at these receiving stats. Yeah, guys, Tutu Atwell, he's running more routes per game than Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua has not scored a touchdown yet. He does have more yards per game, and he does have a little bit more air yards. Man, yeah, look at the target share difference here for Puka Nacua. 35% target share this season versus 22% for Tutu. So yeah, Puka Nacua is definitely a better option than Tutu Atwell. But yeah, Tutu Atwell is still a good option as well. Hulu / ESPN Plus / Disney Plus bundle is $20. All right, that Xavier, you're making me feel bad now for not having ESPN Plus. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to pull up the at least the play-by-play here for this game. That's on ESPN Plus. Jeez. Absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal if you don't have ESPN Plus. You're down bad without ESPN Plus this morning. Let's I got to at least get the play-by-play up here. We're on London time this morning, guys. If you had start-sits for the Jaguars and the Falcons, you're too late. The game started. Disney Plus, if you want to watch it as cartoons. Is that actually a real thing? Like, the Disney Plus version is like a cartoon type version? I actually think I might have Disney Plus. I at least got to get to the game. Oh, it actually starts at 9. Yeah, it starts at 9:30. The game should be started. Yeah, the game started. Guys, Travis Etienne just got the ball. The game started. You're too late. We're on London time this morning. You missed it. If you had start-sit decisions for this game, you missed it. The Jaguars have the ball, and Travis Etienne just got to carry. So you're locked in. We're on London time this morning. All right, let's get to pick 2, Pittman, James Conner, Pickens, Scary Terry. It's definitely Pittman here. I'm assuming this is a PPR league, and I think James Conner too. I think I have James Conner as a top Top 11. Yeah, he's number 11 running back for me this week. You got to start James Conner. Taysom Hill or Cole Kmet. Oh, man, guys, the tight ends are so brutal. Like, I was ranking the tight ends this morning, and after Mark Andrews, really after, like, Kyle Pitts area, like, I still think Kyle Pitts was a decent play today. It gets so ugly so fast. I mean, Taysom Hill is, like, very much in consideration. He didn't make my top 15 tight end rankings. I still think I would probably bench Taysom Hill in that situation. But, yeah, he's in play. Taysom Hill's definitely in play. Let me pull the numbers for Taysom Hill. With Alvin Kamara back, though, like, how much is Taysom Hill really going to play today? Last week, Taysom Hill, he had 12 rushing yards. Yeah, I don't feel great about him. I don't feel great about Taysom Hill this week. And yeah, I'm starting Pittman and James Conner here in this one on the YouTube live. Kamara or Ayuk? I'm not benching Alvin Kamara this week. I'm not doing it. I refuse to bench Alvin Kamara. Guys, if you're watching live on TikTok, make sure you smash the follow button. And if you're watching live on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. Seriously, guys, helps me so much. Helps me way more than you would realize. It takes you 2 seconds. Someone just asked in the TikTok live, is Austin Eckler playing today? No. Austin Eckler was ruled doubtful. So I guess he's still like holding out a small hope that he can play. He's not playing. He's doubtful. He's not playing. I don't think I've seen a doubtful player play in the NFL in the last 5 years. PPR, Madison, A-Chain, Stevenson, pick one. It's Madison. Oh, God, it's Madison. And I want to say A-Chain. I have A-Chain over Ramondre Stevenson, but it's Madison over A-Chain. Oh, God, it just doesn't feel right. You know, coming off a 51-point game for A-Chain. Madison will not have a 50-point game in his entire career. Madison does not have the upside that A-Chain has. But Madison has the volume that A-Chain does not have. And Madison has the matchup that A-Chain doesn't have this week, too. So I'm fine going at Madison over A-Chain for sure. I'm okay with that. Looks like the Jaguars are off to a decent start here in this game. 3rd and 5. Evan Ingram had a catch. Miles Sanders or A-Chain or Stevenson non-PPR league. Yard bonuses pick 2. Yeah, so I got my running back rankings here up on the YouTube live. I have A-Chain, then Mondre, then Steven. I have A-Chain, then Mondre, then Sanders. And really, I'm a little nervous about Sanders this week too. I am a tiny bit nervous about Sanders because of the groin injury. The groin injury is what was bothering him all preseason. He missed practices with the groin injury this week. It's a pretty good matchup against the Vikings for Sanders, and the role has looked great for Sanders. He's really high in target share in targets this year at the running back position. But is he gonna see that role this week with the groin injury? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. Hey Sam, is JSN droppable if I'm 3-0? And who should I start out of Moss, Mixon, and A-Chain? I got the running back rankings up right here, and I'm pretty sure Zach Moss and A-Chain are really close together. And I think I have Zach Moss ahead of A-Chain, and I do. And it's a similar thing with Alexander Madison and Kyron Williams too. Really, all the guys ahead of A-Chain. So like, I can so confidently predict these guys ahead of A-Chain in my running back rankings. I have A-Chain at 14, and yeah, I have Moss ahead of him because he's going to get the ball more than A-Chain. He just is. A-Chain is still not the starting running back for the Dolphins. It is Raheem Mostert. And Salvin Ahmed is also maybe going to play this week. He's questionable. That one's a little unknown. Hey, Sam, going to the Steelers-Texans game today. Day, let's go, man. Enjoy that. Javonte, Rachaad White, Godwin, Nico, or DJ Moore in flex. Also, I have Saquon. What do I do? I also want to get back to that JSN comment from a second ago because JSN, I do think I don't think you can drop him. I don't think he's one of these guys. There's a few of these guys in fantasy this year. There is every year. And JSN is one of them this year, I think, that he can't be started at all moving forward right now. Like you cannot start JSN this week. And that's not a guy you really want on your bench, but you can't drop him because the ceiling is still so high for JSN. All right. Rachaad White, Javonte, Godwin, Nico, or DJ Moore in the flex. It's PPR. You got to go DJ Moore. You got to go DJ Moore in the flex if it's PPR. And then also I have Saquon. What do I do? Yeah, Saquon's a really tough spot this week. He's doubtful though. He's not going to play. Saquon's not playing. Assume Saquon is not playing. You got to assume. You got to assume that, I think, this week. All right. Let's just pull up this Jaguars-Falcons game. Incomplete short right to Evan Ingram. And it is 4th and 5 for the Jaguars. They have been just brutal. Just brutal this season. And they punted. And the Falcons have the ball at the 7 now. We're on London time this morning, guys. That game already started. Jaguars punt. Yeah, guys, appreciate you. I'm not watching the game. I'm watching the live stream. I'm watching the comments. So let me know what's going on in the game as we go. I appreciate the comment section so much. A-Chain or Jerome Ford? It's A-Chain over Jerome Ford this week. Who do I start? Nakua or Olave? Oh, God, yeah, that's a tough one. I think I have Nakua over Olave. I do. I saw someone ask for the tight end rankings. I will get to that next. Let me pull the wide receiver rankings, though. I saw someone ask for that as well. You can't bench Puka Nakua this week. Not even for Chris Olave, who I like a lot. Second weekend in here. Alberto, shout out to you, man. In a PPR league, Dallas Goedert or Roshan Johnson in the flex. Yeah, so I have a thing. I just have a general thing that, fantasy football is hard enough as it is. The tight end position is bleak enough as it is. Don't start two tight ends. Don't start two tight ends. Just don't do it. Ryan, asking for the DraftKings lineup. And I got a fun one today. I'm glad someone asked for this, Ryan, because after last week, I'm giving out tournament lineups. This lineup is a tournament lineup. And I'm picturing like the big tournaments. Like I'm putting this lineup into the big $1 million to first tournament. And I think last week was a good example of in tournaments, sometimes the chalk can work, but generally like in tournaments, you got to tell a story and you got to be able to submit a lineup that not many people are going to submit. It needs to be a differentiated lineup. There's not going to be nothing worse than a feeling of you won the tournament and you split the pot with someone else. Then I just think that lineup was bad. So I'm going with a kind of a crazy lineup. And I don't know how many people are going to play Aiden O'Connell this week, but he's minimum priced on DraftKings. And he looks great in the preseason. And he has a great matchup against the Chargers today. I'm starting Aiden O'Connell, and I'm stacking him with Jacoby Myers and with Devontae Adams. I'm doing the double stack today. And we saw the double stack work pretty well last week with Justin Herbert and Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. I don't think many people are going to have the combination of Aiden O'Connell, Devontae Adams, and Jacoby Myers. I think it's going to be a really, really low percentage. Probably less than 5%, maybe less than 1%. And that is what I want in the tournament lineups. If Aiden O'Connell ends up being this great rookie quarterback, and again, he's in a really good spot today. The Chargers have been horrible. They have no Joey Bosa today. Not Joey Bosa. Is it Joey? Yeah, it is Joey Bosa. No Joey Bosa today for the Chargers. Nick Bosa is the one on the 49ers. The Chargers so far this season, 28 points to Tua, 21 points to Ryan Tannehill. That was his best game of the season. And last week, they let up 26 points to Kirk Cousins. Why not 20-plus points to Aiden O'Connell today? Why not a huge game for Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers? I'm definitely like a little bit more nervous about them for season-long start-sit decisions. And then I'm also going to differentiate here pretty hard at the running back spot. I think A-Chain will be probably pretty popular today. Like if you're going to pivot off this lineup at all, maybe it is that A-Chain spot. Maybe go a different running back there. But I'm going A-Chain and Josh Kelly. I don't think anyone's going to play Josh Kelly. I think zero people. Like nobody's going to play Josh Kelly. Everyone hates Josh Kelly right now so much, yet the usage is good still, and the matchup is good still, and I like running it back against this Raiders stack in general. And then I'm going Puka Nacua, George Kittle, and T. Higgins, and I'm going with the Browns defense. They're priced too low. The Browns defense is priced way too low with all the injuries for the Ravens and how good the Browns defense has been. I think a lot of people are going to be playing some of those high-priced defenses this week. Eagles especially, I feel like will be pretty popular. I like the Eagles defense a lot too against the Commanders, who are on pace to break the all-time record for sacks allowed. But yeah, this is my DraftKings lineup this week. I like taking the risk this week on this. It's definitely a high risk, high reward lineup. That's what I think you want though in tournaments. All right, let's get back to some of these start sits. You skipped me earlier, Alex. Sorry, Garrett Wilson, Jordan Addison, Josh Palmer, Roshan, pick 2. Yeah, I'm not starting Roshan. I don't think in this spot. I'm okay going Garrett Wilson, and then Jordan Addison versus Josh Palmer. Kyle, I'm going to get to the player prop in a second. Jordan Addison versus Josh Palmer. Let me pull up the wide receiver rings here. I think they're in the end of this. Yeah, they're actually back to back in the end. And I do have Josh Palmer over Jordan Addison. I don't know how I feel about that. I might change that right now. I also got to get rid of these Falcons and Jaguars players now from this list because guys, we're on London time today and I haven't seen any of the comments yet. Doesn't seem like much has happened in this game yet. I think it's 3rd and 9. The Falcons have 1 yard, and yeah, Bijan just got a catch, but it's 4th and 1. The Falcons are probably going to punt. Hey, Sam. Start 2. Puka Nacua. Tutu Atwell. Nico Collins. Thanks, you're the man. Yeah, Brad, start the first 2 here. I like Nico Collins. He had a bad game last week, 0 points last week, I believe, a donut for Nico Collins. I really like, in fantasy, to start the season, this Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell, starting both of them, I think is a really high floor and high ceiling play. Do you have defensive rankings? I don't have my own defensive rankings, but let me pull up the WalterPicks defensive rankings. Again, by the way, guys, the best way you could possibly support me is going and downloading the WalterPicks app for free in the iOS and Android app store. It's free in the TikTok bio, in the YouTube description. It's going to help you with all your start sits, custom to your league scoring settings, all your trades, custom to your league scoring settings, add drops, transaction advice, DFS advice, player prop advice. It's all in the WalterPicks app. Go download it. It's the best way you can support me. I helped build this app over the last 3 years. 49ers are the number one defense this week. Cowboys are high up there. The Chiefs are high up there. I think the Eagles are maybe the best defense, honestly, this week. 49ers are 14-point favorites against the Cardinals, so they make a lot of sense. I also think the Browns are a solid defense this week, too. I feel pretty good about these defensive rankings here overall. All right. Bijan just put a Jags defender on skates, but meanwhile, the Falcons still punted. It was an 8-yard catch for Bijan Robinson. I actually did like his receiving prop today, and now the Jaguars have the ball again. 1st and 10 on the Jaguars 28. All right, let me pull up the free player prop pick of the day here. Guys, we're 6-1. We're 6-1 on the free player props. And yeah, I think this is the one. I think this is the one I want to share today. I actually think this one is plus odds. Let's see. I want to see what this line's at now, though, to make sure this is still in play for you guys, because a lot of these lines move. A lot of the player props we post in the WalterPicks app, they move pretty fast because we're finding exploitable lines. All right, we're looking for the Rams game here. And they have Tutu Atwell 51.5. And yeah, we're going to take that. That's going to be the prop today. Is Tutu Atwell over 51.5 receiving yards. And let me talk you guys through this one. All right, Tutu Atwell. He's seen a really solid target share this season. He's got a 22%, 18%, and 28% target share week 1, 2, and 3, respectively. Tutu Atwell has at least an 18% target share in every game this year. There's still no Cooper Kupp this week. He's maybe coming back to practice next week, but Tutu Atwell is a good option against the Colts. This week, he gets the Colts. They're allowing the 7th most receiving yards per game to wide receivers this season. Atwell has 50 or more yards in every game. Atwell has at least 50 yards in every game, and they're setting his line at 51.5. And he also has over 100 air yards in every game this season. Tutu Atwell, guys, he is the 11th most air yards in the NFL. I'm in on the Tutu prop. We're 6-1 on the free player props. That's the free player prop of the day. It is Tutu Atwell over 51.5 receiving yards. Cash that one. Hey, man, first trade question for me ever. Need some help. Trade T. Higgins for Jerome Ford. Full PPR. Current running backs are the Falcons running backs. Or T. Higgins for Mark Andrews. Current tight end is Higbee. I think I like the Andrews one more. I do. I don't think I like the T. Higgins for Jerome Ford straight up one. I think Andrews for T. Higgins is a lot more fair. And really, there's so few tight ends. And I don't feel good about Andrews this week because he's playing the Browns. But rest of season, Andrews is a top 3 tight end option for me. And there's just so few tight ends with the weekly ceiling that Andrews has. And we still haven't seen, I don't think, the true ceiling for Andrews yet this year. Hey, Sam, I'm not sure who to start at my wide receiver 2, Metcalf or Sutton or Addison. What do you think? It's Metcalf. It's got to be Metcalf against the Giants. I'll pull up my wide receiver rankings here on the YouTube live, but it's got to be Metcalf. And I saw a question about Madison. Start Madison even though of the Cam Akers pickup. And yes, you still got to start Madison even though Cam Akers is on the team now. Cam Akers was traded for literally nothing. He was traded for literally nothing. I think there's a better chance that Cam Akers doesn't touch the ball than that he overtakes Alexander Madison. I think the outcome will be somewhere in between that. I think there's a decent chance Akers becomes the number 2 running back for the Vikings, and he is kind of the breather back for Madison. But I don't think he's going to overtake Madison at all or anytime soon. The Jaguars are marching a little bit here. 1st and 10 on the Atlanta 47. We are in London time this morning. I saw a question about A-Chain versus Jerome Ford. I'm starting A-Chain over Jerome Ford this week. I am. I think A-Chain's really the big start sit of the week, and I'm starting him in most spots this week. Hey, Sam, start 1 out of 3. Andrews, Scary Terry, or Jordan Addison. He has Terry McLaurin here. I'm starting Terry McLaurin over Jordan Addison, and I'm not starting 2 tight ends. I'm not starting 2 tight ends, and I'm definitely not starting Mark Andrews as my second tight end. I'm starting a lot of tight ends this week that I usually wouldn't over Mark Andrews because he's playing the Browns. Tank Dell or Pittman? I think it's still Pittman over Tank Dell. I still think I'd go Pittman over Tank Dell. I think that is I think that's reasonable. I'll pull up the running back rankings here again on the YouTube live. Again, we're live on TikTok and YouTube right now, guys. If you're watching live on TikTok, I'm telling you it's a better live stream viewing experience on the YouTube live where I can share my screen and share my top 25 rankings for free in every single position. And yeah, I have a Michael Pittman at number 16, and I have Tank Dell at number 24. So it's got to be Pittman. Purdy or Deshaun? Yeah, it's really tough to trust Deshaun. Deshaun's a truly questionable player this week. So I'm starting Daniel Jones over Deshaun. I'm starting Purdy over Deshaun. Let me pull up the QB rankings here again. I don't have Deshaun in the top 15 this week. Lamar's at number 15. I'm pretty nervous about him too. I'm starting Russ over Deshaun. I'm starting Anthony Richardson over Deshaun. I'm starting Geno Smith over Deshaun. Daniel Jones, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, who's already started to play, Justin Fields, Brock Purdy, Lamar. I'm starting all those guys over Deshaun. A-Chain or Pittman? It's Pittman. If it's a PPR league, it's Pittman. Elijah Moore versus Josh Kelly. That one's pretty close. Kyron Williams or Mike Evans. I'm going Kyron over Mike Evans. I feel a little nervous for Mike Evans against Marshawn Lattimore, who's historically won that matchup, even though Mike Evans having a great season. Elijah Moore, Jordan Addison. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about Elijah Moore because I actually think Elijah Moore right now, he's one of my favorite buy candidates in fantasy. What we've seen from Elijah Moore, I think has been really encouraging. And he was on my do not draft list too, and I don't really feel great about that one anymore. There's a few of the do not draft list guys that are really aging super well, and there's a few that aren't. And I think Elijah Moore is one of these that is not aging well for me. I'm going Elijah Moore over Jordan Addison. He's got a better matchup than Addison this week, and he's at least 9. He's at 9 targets in back-to-back games for Elijah Moore. With Nick Chubb out too, it really feels like Elijah Moore has a really, really strong presence in this offensive game plan every single week. He's had at least one carry in every game so far this season too. I thought Donovan Peoples-Jones was going to play more than Elijah Moore, or more than he has played at least, and that just hasn't been the case. I think Elijah Moore's a pretty good option this week against the Ravens. Not a great option, but a good option, in my opinion. That's Elijah Moore, and I think he's a pretty good buy candidate. I think you're getting him really, really cheap right now in fantasy. I got him as a throw-in option in a trade I completed for Kyron Williams. Pick 3, Nakua, DJ Moore, Olave, and Devontae Smith, full PPR. All right, we're picking 3 here. Yeah, you got to bench DJ Moore here. You're starting Devontae Smith. You're starting Olave and Puka Nakua over DJ Moore this week. And Puka Nakua is, I think, the guy that ranks at the highest among all these receivers. I got my wide receiver rings up on the YouTube live right now. Richardson or Fields? I'm going Richardson over Fields this week. A better matchup for Fields than Richardson, but Richardson's looked better. I'm going Connor over A-Chain. Thoughts on Alvin Kamara this week? Yeah, I'm really, really bullish on Kamara just in general. So I'm bullish on him this week as well. I'm in on Alvin Kamara. He's my number 5 running back this week, even though he's playing a good Buccaneers defense. Rachaad White or Brian Robinson? You can't start Brian Robinson this week. You absolutely cannot start Brian Robinson this week. I get that he's been really good, but the Eagles defense is not a defense I want to start running backs against. The Commanders are going to get crushed in this game. They're going to get crushed. I think they're 9.5-point underdogs, and I'm taking the Eagles against the spread there. And we have not seen a running back go over 10 fantasy points against this Eagles defense since week 1 when Ramondre Stevenson did it, and he had 6 catches in that game. Almost all of his points came through the air. Brian Robinson has done okay through the air this year, but I don't think he's run more than like 15 routes in a game. Not a single running back, guys, has 40-plus rushing yards against this Eagles defense. Because, first of all, the Eagles are going to crush you, so you're going to be playing from behind. And second of all, they have one of the best defensive lines in the league. So, yeah, do not start Brian Robinson this week. Absolutely not. I don't even think he's in my top 25 running backs this week. I don't feel good about Brian Robinson at all. Hey, Sam, you're the man. Thanks, man. Justin, appreciate you. Appreciate everybody in this live stream. Seriously, shout out to everyone who's on London time with me this morning. Pick 2, Lockett, Addison, Thielen, or Tank Dell. Yeah, Tank Dell has got to be started here in this spot. And I think Lockett, Addison, and Thielen. Let me pull this up here. I think I have Lockett likely ahead. Yeah, I do. I actually have Lockett ahead of Tank Dell. It's Lockett and Tank Dell. I think Tyler Lockett's still a pretty good spot this week. A little bit of a boom-bust option, as he has been. But Tyler Lockett, guys, his ceiling's still really high. Now with Jimmy G out, should I start Tank Dell or Jacoby Myers? Yeah, this one's close. This one's definitely close. And I have Tank Dell over Jacoby Myers now. I do. I would go Tank Dell over Jacoby. And I'm playing Jacoby Myers and Devontae Adams both stacked with Aiden O'Connell in my DraftKings lineup. In my tournament lineup, that's a tournament lineup. It's different than your head-to-head season-long lineups. I'm not doing Jacoby over Tank Dell. I'm not starting Jacoby over Pittman either. I'm not starting Jacoby over T. Higgins. I think you got to go Pittman and T. Higgins here. Amari Cooper's a good option too. But T. Higgins has the best matchup with this group. Let's pull up the wide receiver rings here again. Definitely some tough wide receiver sits. I'm starting Debo over Kendrick Bourne. I have Debo in my must bench list because he's dealing with an injury, and Ayuka the Bazooka's back this week. And the 49ers are also 14-point favorites. So this game really might not be close, and they might not have to use Debo a lot. But I still think Debo's a better start than Kendrick Bourne. Palmer or Elijah Moore at the flex? I'm going Elijah Moore over Josh Palmer. Definitely a relatively close one. And touchdown for Trevor Lawrence to Calvin Ridley. Revenge game for Calvin Ridley. I love to see this. 30-yard touchdown catch for Calvin Ridley. Guys, we're on London time this morning, and we got a TD for Calvin Ridley. Come on, someone in the TikTok, the YouTube live had to send a comment about this. Not seeing it yet, but touchdown, revenge game, Calvin Ridley. He was a must start for us this week. We had Calvin Ridley number 12. I hope everyone that I said to start Calvin Ridley this morning started Calvin Ridley this morning. He's got a touchdown, 30-yard reception, touchdown, and he's just getting started here against the Falcons. Absolutely love to see this. Calvin Ridley he's still live. He's still live to be a league winner this season. Need to cut someone, Jerome Ford or Roschon Johnson. Yeah, you got to cut Roschon. You got to keep Jerome Ford, I think, over Roschon Johnson. Definitely a tough call. I like having Roschon stashed, but Jerome Ford's like actually startable. Roschon Johnson's really not that startable right now. Cooper, Dell, or Kamara? It's Kamara. It's Alvin Kamara. It's Alvin Kamara over Zach Moss. It's Alvin Kamara over Tank Dell. It's Alvin Kamara over I forget who the first person in that question was now, but yeah, it's Alvin Kamara over them. Alvin Kamara is my number 5 running back today. Let me pull the running back rings again. And he's a tough matchup, but it's still Alvin Kamara. Hey, Sam, full PPR. Tank Dell, Brandon Ayuk, the Bazooka. Rashad White, pick one for my flex. It's Tank Dell. I think this one's Tank Dell. It's close this one's pretty close. But I think the floor for a lot of the 49ers pass catchers today is kind of low. I'm okay going with Tank Dell here. I like Tank Dell against the Steelers. Swift or Sanders? I think it's Miles Sanders. Let me pull this comparison up too. Let's do this comparison here on the YouTube live. Miles Sanders versus DeAndre Swift. Sanders is dealing with the groin injury, which is why I'm pretty nervous about him today. And Swift gets a matchup with the Commanders. Better matchup for Swift. Swift is also averaging more points this season. I kind of disagree, actually, with Walter in this. I know this is close here. I'm going Swift over Miles Sanders. I think it's Swift over Miles Sanders. Let me update the running back rankings here, too, on this YouTube live to reflect this. I also want to update the rankings in general to get these guys that have already started playing out of the list. We're going to do that right now. We're going to leave them in, actually. It's going to take too long. But I do want to get – where's Miles Sanders here? Yeah, he's at 20. Yeah, I had him one spot ahead of Swift. I actually think I put him after Brees in these rankings now. Swift comes in at 20 for me. Now, Sanders comes in at 22. I'll put the running back rankings here again on the YouTube live. Should I start Derrick Henry? Pretty sketchy, honestly. Just in general for Derrick Henry right now. Really rough week for him last week. But yeah, he can be started. Derrick Henry comes in, I think, around like 16, 17 for me in the running back rankings. I'm starting A-Chain over Derrick Henry. I'm starting Alexander Madison over Derrick Henry. I'm starting James Cook, James Conner, Zach Moss, Kyron Williams, Raheem Mostert. All these guys I'm starting over Derrick Henry. It feels weird. I'm starting Rashad White over Derrick Henry. I don't know if I feel great about that one. Honestly, I might start Derrick Henry over Rashad White. Given the match, I'm actually going to change that one right now. I don't feel great about that. But yeah, I'm starting a lot of guys over Derrick Henry. I have Derrick Henry ranked at number 15 now in my running back rankings this week. I am starting A-Chain over him, which feels weird. It feels weird to start all these guys over Derrick Henry, but that's just the situation we're in right now. Darnell Mooney. Yeah, so Chase Claypool's out this week. It feels like they did not like his comment about him not being used correctly, which I don't necessarily disagree with him about the comment. Probably a bad comment to make, though, and now he's inactive. Healthy scratch for Chase Claypool. We may not see him again, maybe ever, honestly. This was a pretty pivotal season for him, just in general, to stay in the league, and he's not doing great with it. And the Bears are, not a good situation for him overall. But yeah, definitely arrows up for Darnell Mooney now with Chase Claypool out. Chase Claypool really was taking a lot of those targets away from Darnell Mooney. Mixon, Josh Palmer, or Roschon Johnson, pick one. I really don't want to start Joe Mixon. I really don't want to do it. I think it's Josh Palmer over Mixon and Roschon Johnson in a PPR league. This is not a good matchup for Joe Mixon. It really isn't. Lamar or Stroud? I got Lamar over Stroud still, but it's definitely close. And I don't know. I don't know if I feel even great about Lamar over Stroud. Stroud's been great. He's had a horrible offensive line. Let me see what Walter says about Stroud versus Lamar too. Let's do this comparison in the YouTube live. Again, we're live on TikTok and YouTube, and on the YouTube live, it's a better viewing experience because I can actually share my screen to these comparisons, and we can even look at game logs and a lot of other information on the YouTube live that we cannot look at on the TikTok live. And yeah, Walter's going to say Lamar, but look at the difference in the matchups here. It's Lamar over Stroud still. You still got to start Lamar over Stroud. But I don't feel great about Lamar in general. I'm pretty nervous. Sam, I need your help. I'm in last, and there's a punishment. Yeah, we cannot be doing these last place punishments. We cannot be doing them. Do I start Ayuk, Pittman, or Tank Dell? Pick 2. Also Richardson or Fields. Yeah, so it's Richardson over Fields this week, and it's Pittman, and I think Tank Dell over Ayuk. I think I'd go Pittman and Tank Dell over Ayuk. I think they both have better floors and similar ceilings to Ayuk. I think the floor is kind of low for Ayuk and Debo this week. I like Kittle the most, honestly, of all those pass catchers. The Cardinals have been horrible against tight ends for it feels like 3 straight years now. Kittle's coming off a really good game. And I just, in general, though, I think the floor is kind of low for all these pass catchers for the 49ers because this game might not be close. They're 14-point favorites. They're 14-point favorites in this game. And Desmond Ridder gets sacked. 4th and 9 for the Falcons. They're punting. Jaguars are at home in London. This is a home game for the Jaguars. And they're crushing the Falcons right now. They're up 7-0, about to get the ball back in this game. London time this morning. Kamara, Swift, Sanders. Yes, Kamara. It's Alvin Kamara. Hey, Sam, long-time fan here. Got a rough start 1 and 2. I need you to help. Pick 1, Pickens, Nico, or Michael Thomas. Now, let me pull up the wide receiver rings here again. Pickens against the Texans, not a horrible spot for him. He has looked pretty good with Deontay Johnson being out. Nico Collins on the other side of that game against the Steelers. It's a good spot for him. Kind of tough to trust coming off a 0-point game, I believe, for Nico Collins. Let me pull up these guys. I think these 3 are all pretty close. Pickens. And who's the last guy here? Yeah, it was MT. And I think, honestly, my answer is probably Michael Thomas. And Walter agrees. Yeah, it's Michael Thomas. Start Michael Thomas over George Pickens. Start Michael Thomas over Nico Collins. We're benching Joe Mixon because he's playing the Titans defense. And the Titans defense has been elite against running backs. They let up 2 touchdowns to Jerome Ford last week. But guys, not a single running back has gone over 45 rushing yards against the Titans defense. You're really praying for touchdowns for Mixon if you're starting him. I think you got to start almost all running backs over Joe Mixon this week. And yeah, I'm going Michael Thomas here in this one. Yusuf, we got to get to 2-2. Guys, if you're 1-2, if you're 0-3, we got to get dubs. Now, at this point in the fantasy season, you got to make the right start sits. We got to carve out these wins. Who should I start at flex? Only one option. Rashad White, Cortland Sutton, DJ Moore, Elijah Moore. It's DJ Moore. It's DJ Moore in these types of situations. Rashad White, the role is good. The matchup's not great for him this week. DJ Moore, guys, he's got a good matchup against the Broncos. The Broncos have been horrible. I mean, terrible defensively. The Broncos are 3.5-point favorites against the Bears, who might be the worst team in the league. And yeah, you look at the numbers. The Broncos have they gave up 29 points to Jacoby Myers in week 1. Terry McLaurin had his best game of the season against them, 16 points. Tyreek Hill went for an easy 30 points against them. Even Curtis Samuel, Devontae Adams had a pretty good game week 1, 2. They've allowed the 7th most points to receivers this season. It's a good spot for DJ Moore. You got it. And we were on DJ Moore in week 2 after the abysmal week 1. Let me pull the game logs here for DJ Moore. But I'm kind of back on him this week. I was a little bit off last week. He only had 2 catches, 41 yards. He did score a touchdown last week, so he saved his fantasy day there. But he's got a really good stretch of matchups coming up here against the Broncos, Commanders, Vikings, Raiders, Chargers. All of these are top 10 matchups for DJ Moore. Kind of an interesting buy low opportunity, honestly, looking at this schedule for DJ Moore. I'm seeing some Josh Jacobs questions, and you got to start Josh Jacobs, guys. I get it. I get people being frustrated with Josh Jacobs. I really do. It makes sense. Let's pull up the game logs here for Josh Jacobs. I get being frustrated with Jacobs. I get wanting to bench Josh Jacobs, but you just can't. He's a top 5 running back option this week. He gets another good matchup. He had a good matchup in week 3. He had a good matchup in week 1. It is concerning. Oh my God, he had negative 0.2 yards per carry against the Bills. And man, he has been so brutally inefficient. He's averaging 2 yards per carry this season. Or that's his average across his games. He doesn't have a game with more than 4 yards a carry, and he's played 2 bottom 3 run defenses. And now he gets the Chargers, and Aiden O'Connell is starting. And he's going to get, again, Like, look at the carry numbers. He's got 2 games now with at least 17 carries. He's running really, he's seeing at least 3 targets in every game. Like, there's just not that many guys with this type of volume. Oh God, yeah, and Adam, you got other good options here. I get the concern with Jacobs. Like, it's not that crazy to start James Cook over Josh Jacobs at this point. It's really not that crazy. Like, I wouldn't call you crazy for doing that. I have them, I think, within 5 spots in my rankings. And James Cook has been much, much better this season. And James Cook is in a projected higher scoring game. And he's got a better matchup even than Josh Jacobs does. Oh, gosh. And then DK Metcalf, too, I think versus Josh Jacobs is pretty tough. Like, I'm okay going Metcalf over Jacobs, too, if you're that concerned about Jacobs. It's just a tough guy to bench with the usage we're seeing. He's not coming off the field. He's playing almost every single snap. Metcalf over Jacobs for sure, though, in PPR leagues. I think that's fine. I think James Cook over him for sure, too, is fine. Honestly, Adam, I started here, with this question saying you just have to start him. And in this spot, like looking a little deeper into this, I don't think you have to. I'm actually going to move Josh Jacobs down a little bit here in the rankings, kind of just looking at these numbers. I would still start him over Madison. I'm going to move down to number 9. So I start Mostert over Jacobs. I start Kenneth Walker over Jacobs. I start James Cook over Jacobs. I start Alvin Kamara over Jacobs. I start Pollard over Jacobs and McCaffrey obviously over Jacobs. And then it's Jacobs. He's still a top 10 running back option. Why bench Sky Moore? Guys, Sky Moore's running wind sprints. I want nothing to do with Sky Moore. I actually traded him away in my Dynasty League. I gave up Sky Moore in a second-round pick for David Montgomery. And I feel pretty good about that, after starting Montgomery this week in that league. But, guys, Sky Moore, he doesn't have a game with more than 6 targets yet. He can't get over a 16% target share. His routes went down last week. His route share has dipped every single week so far this season. Like, it's just not the role I was hoping for Sky Moore. He had one big catch in week 2 and a touchdown in week 2. But, guys, other than that, like, the floor is so low for Sky Moore. It's so low. He's just not the most dynamic receiver that the Chiefs have. And he's not commanding significant targets. He's not even running significant routes. He's not seeing significant target share. And he's playing a good Jets defense tonight. Sorry. I don't feel good about Sky Moore just in general. He ranks as wide receiver 66 this week for Walter. He's not in my top 35 or top 40 running wide receivers this week. I got my top 25 wide receivers, by the way, up on the YouTube live. Links are in the TikTok bio for watching live on TikTok. I got 43 or 44 wide receivers in my top 25 this week, I think. Flowers, James Cook, Addison. Yeah, it's James Cook. It's got to be James Cook, I think, over Flowers and Addison. And it looks like the Jaguars were marching a little bit, got a holding call. 2nd and 12 now for the Jaguars on the Falcons 41. First quarter is almost over here. Christian Kirk got 40 receiving yards now. His prop line's looking pretty solid to cash. Bijan Robinson's got 2 catches now too. Only 2 rushing yards though for the Falcons, it looks like. That's a pretty concerning sign for them. Yo, Sam, how's it going? Football today, Yarjma. Yeah, we got football on the TV screen today, Yarjma. I can't wait, man. I can't wait. And we already got football on the TV screen. We already got the Falcons and the Jaguars going. Also, should I start Fields? It's been rough, especially since I'm a Bears fan. Yeah, Yarjma, it's been tough, man. It's okay to start Fields this week, though. Let me pull the QB rankings. I got Fields ranked at number 13. So there's a lot of quarterbacks I'm playing over Fields, but he's definitely in the mix in a good matchup against the Broncos. They're 3.5-point home underdogs against a team that let up 70 points last week. Absolutely ridiculous stuff. Purdy versus Lamar. Yeah, I think I got Purdy over Lamar. I do. I have one spot Purdy over Lamar. I'm nervous for Lamar against the Browns defense. Elijah Moore or Tank Dell. I'm going Tank Dell over Elijah Moore. Tyler Lockett or Michael Thomas. That one's really close. I think they are really close to my rankings here. And yeah, I got Tyler Lockett just a few spots ahead of Michael Thomas. You're not benching Puka Nacua this week in any situation. I'm starting Atwell over Sutton too. I got Mostert over Derrick Henry. Seen that one in the TikTok live. I'm not starting Dak Prescott against the Pats. I like Fields more than him. I'm going DK Metcalf over Michael Thomas. And end of the first quarter here in that Jaguars-Falcons game in London. We're on London time this morning. I should see no Jaguars or Falcons questions anymore in the comments. I hope you started Calvin Ridley. He caught a 30-yard touchdown pass. Sutton or Thomas? Yes, Thomas over Sutton. Lamb over Thielen. You still got to start CeeDee Lamb in almost all spots. I'm starting Thielen over DeAndre Hopkins, I think, though. Hopkins is quietly, he's having a bad season. The target share was really good the week 1. It's just it's not a good offense to be a part of right now in Tennessee. Tank Dell or Ramondre Stevenson for flex. If this is a PPR league, I'm going Tank Dell. I'm 0-3. I need to win. Yeah, you got to win if you're 0-3, Ethan. There's just no way around it. You can't go 0-4. Justin Fields, Daniel Jones, or CJ Stroud. It's Daniel Jones. It's Daniel Jones against the Seahawks. This is a good spot for Daniel Jones. He's been running a lot. I think Daniel Jones against the Seahawks on Monday night is a decent option. He's my number 10 quarterback this week. Ford or Achane? I got Achane over Ford. I got Achane over Ramondre Stevenson too. Kirk or Tua, and then Dell, Pickens, Godwin, or Thielen to flex. Yeah, it's Dell. It's Dell over Pickens, Godwin, and Thielen. And then Kirk or Tua, it's Tua. It's Tua. I got Kirk and Tua both in my top 6, but I'm not benching Tua. If I have Tua, I'm not benching Tua. And I get being like a tiny bit afraid of the Bills defense because they rank number 2. They've given up the 3rd fewest points per game to quarterbacks this season. That's the Buffalo Bills. But look at the quarterbacks. Sorry, I think it's the 2nd fewest. I was looking at receivers. Yeah, the 2nd fewest points to quarterbacks this season. But then you look at the quarterbacks they played. They played Zach Wilson in week 1 after the Aaron Rodgers injury, then Jimmy G in week 2, then Sam Howell in week 3. So they played nobody. I mean, those are 3 bottom 10, maybe bottom 5 quarterbacks in the league. And now they get Tua. And Tua is leading all players in MVP voting right now. Tua has at least 13 points in every game. He had a bad game against the Pats for fantasy, but he still played well in that one. In each of his other 2 games, he went over 300 yards and 3 passing touchdowns. This is the highest projected scoring game of the week. The Dolphins are 2.5-point underdogs in Buffalo today. Definitely the most exciting game of the week, in my opinion. Yeah, you can't bench Tua. I really don't think you can bench him. Any weather to be concerned about. A Palmer, let me get to that next. Palmer, Mondre, Godwin, Dell, or Davis. It's Dell. It's Dell over Godwin, Davis, Mondre, and Palmer. Any weather to be concerned about. Weatherman Sam is here for you again. And we have had some weather. I think last week it was the Pats game, actually, that had the weather. It was the Jets-Pats game that had actual weather concerns. Guys, there is no concerning weather this week. 0, nothing. I think we got a maximum of like 10 miles an hour wind. I don't think we're going to see a drop of precipitation today. A lot of dome games, but even the games not in domes, literally 0 concern about weather this week. Do not spend an ounce of brain energy thinking through weather and how that impacts you today, because it's not going to. No weather concerns this week. Love that we finally got a week where I can say that. We've had a couple weeks where it's like not really any weather concerns, but there's some rain to be aware of. Not even today. No rain to be aware of. No wind to be aware of. Nothing. No concerning weather today. You love to see that. The free player prop today, by the way, we are 6-1 with the free player props on these live streams. We cashed the Jahmyr Gibbs over 2.5 receptions on Thursday night. He had 4 catches, I think, 5 catches. He didn't have many yards, but we'll take it. And then Tutu Atwell today. It's 51.5 receiving yards for him. Guys, he's gone over 50 yards in every game. He's gone over 100 air yards in every game. And now he gets the Colts, who are allowing the 7th most receiving yards this season to receivers. I mean, sign me up all day for this Tutu Atwell prop. I think it's maybe 9-10 yards too low. In this game, 51.5. It was at that right when I started the live. It might move a little bit because it's just set too low. But yeah, get the Tutu Atwell prop over 51.5 receiving yards. And by the way, as always, guys, the best play to play Pick'em this year, it is Sleeper. You'll get 100% deposit match on Sleeper using code Walter. You can find the link to Sleeper in the YouTube description or on if you're on TikTok. Just go to Sleeper. If you've never deposited on Sleeper, they have a great pick'em game. You can take Tutu Atwell over 51.5 receiving yards, and if you deposit for the first time, you get 100% deposit match with code Walter. All right, good morning, Sam. Need your help. Pick 2, D-Hop, Jacoby Myers, or Addison. Full PPR league. Since Burks is out, I'm hoping D-Hop will have a rebound this week. Yeah, I get the logic there. For DeAndre Hopkins, let's compare these guys up on the live here in the WalterPicks app. We got Hopkins, we got Jacoby. And you got to choose 2 of these. Man, he ranks so low still, even with Myers out. And then we got Addison, who's definitely an intriguing ceiling play just in general. And Jacoby Myers projects the best. A little bit of risk there. Hopkins has the lowest boom percentage. They all pretty similar bust percentages. Addison is the highest bust percentage. Yeah, it's just the defensive match for Jacoby is really, really good. And the Panthers are missing guys in the secondary, so I don't even feel like that strongly about this ranking here for the Panthers. God, and I don't think Burks being out really changes that much for Hopkins. Like, he's still seeing really high target share numbers. It's just this offense, this quarterback situation for him. It's not good. It's just not good. I think you bench Hopkins. I think you play Addison and Myers over DeAndre Hopkins this week. I'm fine with that. And I think Walter generally agreed there with me on that one. Pick 2, Puka Nacua, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Pittman. Yeah, so we're not benching Puka Nacua, and we're not benching CeeDee Lamb. Both guys are top 10 options this week. And I like Pittman too. Pittman's my number 16 wide receiver, but Puka and CeeDee are both in the top 10. I'm not benching either of those guys. Joe Mixon or DeAndre Swift. It's DeAndre Swift. I do not feel good about Joe Mixon this week at all. I think he's one of the clear must benches. I think pretty much running backs playing the Titans, you really should strongly consider benching them. Pierce or A-Chain, it's got to be A-Chain. It's got to be A-Chain. Cook or Kyron Williams, that one's pretty close. Let me actually pull this. I think it's Cook, though. I think it's James Cook over Kyron Williams. Yeah, it is. I got James Cook at number 8. And I have Kyron Williams at number 13. Thoughts on trade for full PPR? Godwin, Javonte Williams, or Ramondre Stevenson? Godwin, Javonte Williams for Ramondre Stevenson. I don't really love this if you're getting Mondre. I think Javonte really could pick up down the stretch as they give him a bigger and bigger workload. Hey, Sam, Garrett Wilson or Jacoby Myers? Yeah, here we are, man. It's the Zach Wilson world we're living in. And this is actually a really tough one. It's a much better match for Wilson this week than last week, especially with the weather stuff that ended up going down in that Pats-Jets game last week. Yeah, and it's Garrett Wilson. It's Garrett Wilson over Jacoby Myers. Man, the matchup is so good for Jacoby. Aiden O'Connell starting, though, like just definitely really uncertain. Pretty volatile situation, I'd say, for the Raiders. Johnny Smith got a catch before Pitts. LOL. Yeah, here we are, man. Here we are. Johnny Smith leads the Falcons in receiving. I mean, there's been just ridiculous stuff here for the Falcons. Johnny Smith has a catch for 15 yards, and the Falcons are marching a little bit. Looks like they're 3rd and 9, though, on the 45 now. Calvin Ridley catches a 30-yard touchdown against his old team. Revenge game. It's a big revenge game week. We got Adam Thielen. Revenge game week this week. Pick 2 at flex. Full PPR. A-Chain, Judy, Atwell, Palmer. You're not starting Josh Palmer in this spot. Definitely not. It's between these first 3. And I think Judy and Atwell in a full PPR league really, I think, are the options here. I think I'd go Judy and Atwell over A-Chain. I got A-Chain at number 14 running back, but yeah, I prefer receivers just generally in PPR. I think A-Chain is a good option in general. James Cook over Rashad White. Yeah, I'm going James Cook over Rashad White. Good morning, Sam. Happy London Day. Kylo, how are we doing? I'm never ignoring you, Kylo. Come on. You know I wouldn't do that. Please choose one for flex, PPR, Debo, Flower, Swift, Gabe Davis. I put Ridley in my wide receiver 2. Let's go. Yeah, Kylo, if you were in, on London time this morning, then you knew you got to start Calvin Ridley. And I hope all of you started Calvin Ridley if you had Calvin Ridley. All right, Debo, Flowers, Swift, Gabe Davis. Yeah, this is a difficult one. I don't think it's Swift. Usually I think it's Debo, and I think Debo maybe even still is in the top here of the wide receiver rankings for all these guys. He's down at 20. He's one spot ahead of Zay Flowers here, and he's ahead of Gabe Davis for me too. Oh, God, yeah, this one's really tough, Kylo. This is a really, really difficult decision, I think, between these guys. And, I'm a little just nervous about Debo coming off the injuries. But I'm also pretty nervous about Zay Flowers playing the Browns. But there's also no Odell Beckham Jr. and no Rashad Bateman. So, I feel like the floor at least is okay for Zay Flowers. I'm pretty nervous about the floor for Debo. Happy London Day to you, though, by the way. And then, yeah, the Gabe Davis is I'm going to put Swift in here because I think he maybe actually will win this. Yeah, it's Zay Flowers. The answer is Zay Flowers. It's Flowers. The Browns are really, really good, but there's no OBJ. There's no Rashad Bateman. I'm okay going Zay Flowers. We've seen Zay Flowers get really, really big target shares this season. He's got 2 games now over 32% target share. No game under 15% target share. There's no Odell, no Bateman. I think you got to go Zay. I think Zay Flowers is an okay option. I'm kind of nervous just in general about what the floor, what the ceiling is for Zay against the Browns. And maybe really it's the floor that I'm nervous about because Njoku got burned. Yep. We're kind of unsure now about Njoku. And the Jaguars got the ball back. Jaguars up 10-0 with the ball now. Let me pull up the news because I do want to see if there's anything going on here with Miles Sanders is expected to play. Marquise Brown is expected to play. Tyler Higbee is expected to play. Derek Carr is expected to play. Elijah Mitchell's out. Debo's going to play. Aiden O'Connell starting. I haven't seen anything updating the Njoku situation. I'm seeing this tweet here, and I honestly, I was thinking about this recently too. How crazy is it? I'll get back to starts this in a second. How absolutely insane is it that the entire league had a chance to get Lamar Jackson, to trade for Lamar or offer a competing contract for Lamar before he got that big contract from the Ravens, and nobody did it. Like Atlanta Falcons, what are you doing? You could be Super Bowl contenders with Lamar, and you are not a playoff team with Desmond Ridder. New England Patriots, what are you doing? Why would you not give Lamar the bag when you had the chance? Like so many of these teams. What are you doing? Lamar was out there. It just didn't make sense to me. That whole situation made no sense. The whole league messed up there. Prize picks today. Yeah, I'm going with Tutu Atwell over 51.5 receiving yards. That's my favorite prop of the day. On Sleeper, on Prize Picks, on Underdog. It's on DraftKings. It's on all the sports. But this line does not move that much. I'm pretty surprised. Guys, Tutu Atwell has at least 50 yards in every game. He's gotten over 100 air yards in every game. The Colts are allowing the 7th most receiving yards this season. So, yeah, I like Tutu Atwell over 51.5. That's my favorite one of the day. Hey, Sam, full PPR. Should I start Javonte Williams or Swift? You let me put my running back rankings here on the YouTube Live. Again, we're live on TikTok. We're live on YouTube. You can get my top 25 rankings every position on the YouTube Live. I'm going to pull these up right now. Let me actually just peek at this really quickly before pulling them up. And I think I have Javonte. He's at number 17. And yes, Swift is down at 20. It's Javonte over Swift. I know Swift has been balling, but it's a really good matchup for Javonte Williams today. The Bears have really been bad. Really, really been bad. Really against everything. They've allowed the second most points, though, in the league to running backs. And I think Broncos probably have allowed the most now because they let up like 90 points to running backs last week. Tua or Fields? D1 Entertainment. Thank you for the gifts, man. I really do appreciate it in the TikTok Live. It's Tua over Fields for sure. It's got to be Tua over Fields. We're not benching Tua. In basically, like, unless you have Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, or Justin Herbert, then you're starting Tua. You got to start Tua. And yeah, you got to start Javonte Williams this week. He's a really good start. Aaron Jones popped off for 27 points against them in week 1. Then we saw Rachaad White have his best game of the season against them in week 2. Jerick McKinnon, Isaiah Pacheco, and Clyde, guys, they combined for over 40 points against the Bears last week. So yeah, start Javonte Williams. Start Javonte Williams over Swift. I'm starting Javonte Williams over a lot of guys this week. And I even think he might be should maybe be even higher in these rankings. I like Javonte a lot. Like he's kind of locked into a not full workload. Like he's going to get about half the work, but I think that's going to be enough against the Bears. Geno or Justin Fields. Yeah, it's Geno. It's Geno over Justin Fields. I hesitated there for just a second, but yeah, it's Geno over Fields. I'll pull up the QB rankings here. Can you get back to my question? I think you accidentally skipped it, but Njoku got burned. I need help with my tight end spot. Ertz or Fant. Yeah, it's ugly out there, man, at the tight end spot. I have these two tight ends back-to-back in my rankings. I actually think Walter really likes Noah Fant this week because the Seahawks have been throwing the ball to their tight end slot, and I think Will Dissly's out again this week. And that's definitely good for Noah Fant. He's a number 12 tight end here, and then Ertz, number 16. Ertz really cooled off last week after starting the season really hot target share-wise. But yeah, he still doesn't have a game over 12 points. And yeah, he only had a 10% target share last week, -2 air yards, only 2 catches, 6 yards. Don't start Zach Ertz, man. Don't do it to yourself. I think Noah Fant's fine. I think he's fine. Good matchup against the Giants. And yeah, Walter agrees here. And better matchup. Yeah, start Noah Fant. Start Noah Fant. And Njoku, I don't know if he's going to play or not. In general, though, I'm kind of nervous about him in that game. Good morning, Sam. Morgan, good morning. Happy London Day to all who celebrate. First-time listener. Let's go, Morgan. Pick 3, Keenan Allen, Ayuk, Amari Cooper, Devontae Smith, Tank Dell, Tyler Lockett. Just need a little help, please. Yeah, Morgan, I got you. I do. I got all of you. I'm going to try to get to as many starts as I can. By the way, Morgan, also, like I enter over 1,000 start sits on these lives, and I still don't get to all of them. I apologize to anyone who starts it. I don't get to, but that's also why I built the WalterPicks app in the iOS and Android app store. It's free to download. And like this comparison you're seeing, everything you're seeing on the screen right now, free for everyone to see. You can do as many start sits as you want. And then also, if you do the premium version of the app, which is the best way you can support them, you can sync your leagues to the app, and it's going to be custom to your league settings and situation. You're going to be able to do comparisons super easy. Anyways, this one, you got to start Keenan Allen. Let me pull the wide receiver. I got the wide receiver rankings up right now. Keenan Allen is my number 3 wide receiver this week. He absolutely has to be started in 100% of situations. I think Devontae Smith is probably the next guy here that needs to be started. I think it's Devontae Smith and Tyler Lockett. I like Amari Cooper too. I actually have Amari Cooper ranked ahead of Devontae Smith. God, that one's close. That one's really, really close. So it's Keenan Allen. And I think you can't start Tank Dell here. It's between Amari Cooper, Devontae Smith, and Lockett for those last two. I think Amari Cooper and Devontae Smith probably a little bit safer, but Tyler Lockett is in a good spot too. Tyler Lockett, we've seen a really high ceiling. Let's do this comparison really quick on the YouTube live. Lockett, Amari Cooper, Devontae Smith, and usually, like I would say, Devontae Smith kind of has to be started here. This game might not be very close against the Commanders. I don't know how much the Eagles are going to really need to throw in this game. And these other two guys have pretty good matchups. And yeah, Lockett projects the best. Devontae Smith actually has the best matchup, technically speaking, in terms of points allowed. He's been the best this season. I actually think I would think I would go Devontae Smith, Tyler Lockett. I think I would go Devontae Smith and Amari Cooper. I'm going Devontae Smith, Amari Cooper over Tyler Lockett. I think they have the better floor ceiling combo. I'm actually going to adjust the rankings here on the YouTube live after thinking through this one a little bit. I got to move Tyler Lockett down a tiny bit here. I would start him behind Devontae Smith. He's going to go move down to 19 for me. Pull up the new wide receiver rankings here. So Morgan, final answer, Keenan Allen, Devontae Smith, and Amari Cooper. I would go there. All these guys are good options, though. Your team is stacked. DeAndre Swift or Madison. It's Madison. It's Madison this week, guys. It's an Alexander Madison week, and I get people not feeling great about Madison. You know, he's been not super efficient, but it's a really good matchup for him. He gets the Panthers. The Panthers have been horrible defensively. They're missing all sorts of pieces in this game. But guys, the Panthers are allowing the third most points per game to running backs this season. They've had at least one running back go for at least 20 points, or at least 16 fantasy points have been scored by at least one running back against the Panthers in every game. In week 1, the Falcons went for 44 running back points against them. In week 3, the Seahawks last week, over 35 running back points against the Panthers. And yeah, Alexander Madison seeing a huge workload. I'm not nervous about Cam Akers anytime soon. Definitely not this week. Hey, Sam, didn't get an answer last week, but still won. Bobby, love to hear it. Really need help this week. Got Javonte, Kamara, Mostert, and Brees for running backs. Lockett, Flowers, D-Hop, and Nico Collins. Wide receiver, pick 2 running backs, 2 flex. Okay, so first of all, at the running back position, you need to start Alvin Kamara. You need to start Raheem Mostert. Both these guys need to be started. They need to be started. So we're locking those two in. And then looking at the flex options here, don't start DeAndre Hopkins. Don't start Nico Collins. Don't start Zay Flowers. I don't think with all these guys you have. I think Lockett can be started, assuming this is a PPR league. And then I kind of want to say Javonte Williams. I think Javonte Williams over Brees. I don't hate Brees this week. I think Brees is still one of my favorite guys to try to trade for. But it's a really good matchup, guys. The Bears have been horrible. They're allowing the second most points per game to running backs this year. Really, really bad defense. I think Javonte's in a really good spot this week. 3.5-point favorites for the Broncos, even though they let up 70 points last week. That's how bad the Bears are. So yeah, start Javonte, start Lockett, bench everybody else. And yeah, start Mostert, start Kamara. Rashad White or D-Hop? Oh, God, yeah, I think it's Rashad White, man. Do you like this prize pick entry? Josh Allen over 271.5 pass yards. Mixon under rush yards. I really like the Mixon under rush yards one. I do not see him going over 53 rushing yards. There's no running back that's done that this season against the Titans. So yeah, I really like that Mixon under. I like the Thielen over. I like the 2-2 over. I don't love the Hopkins one. I like Chase's reception prop a little bit more than the yards prop, but I like Chase and I like T. Higgins and Boyd. All those reception props I think are pretty strong. Yeah, so I like all these. I think I like the Hopkins one the least. And I like the 2-2 and Mixon ones the most, I think. Mixon or Rashad White, you got to bench Joe Mixon. Bro, I just traded 2-2 and Evans for T and Zay Flowers, long-term trade, W. Yeah, I think it's W, long-term wise. 2-2 and Puka Nacua, guys, something's got to give here when Cooper Kupp returns, and Cooper Kupp's going to return. So something's got to give with these target shares, and I think both guys are probably going to get a little bit of a dip, and I don't think Mike Evans will keep this pace that he's on. He's had at least 15 points, at least 1 touchdown, at least 60 yards in every game this season. And that's not going to keep up for Mike Evans. I think I would take Zay Flowers over him maybe rest of the season and T. Higgins. So yeah, I like the long-term trade W there. Flex, pick 1, Sutton, A-Chain, MT, 1 PPR. Yeah, this one's between A-Chain and MT. It's close here between A-Chain and MT. Let's do the Walter comparison. Walter's I think too low on A-Chain. I don't think Walter can fully grasp A-Chain's just situation. There's just not a huge sample size for A-Chain. He had 2 points in the first 2 weeks, and he had 50 points in week 2. Last week in week 3. I feel like Michael Thomas a lot this week, guys. Michael Thomas, he's been steady, man. Where's the injury, guys, for Michael Thomas? Because all offseason, everyone was drafting Michael Thomas like he was already injured. Meanwhile, he was the healthiest he's been at that time of the year all in the last 3 years. Michael Thomas, my most drafted best ball player, knock on wood. I don't want to jinx this for MT, but yeah, he's got at least 5 catches in every game, at least 8 targets in every game, at least a 24% target share in every game. He's running routes on basically every single passing attempt for the Saints. Like when he's not out there, guys, the Saints are running. And it's a good matchup for him against the Bucs today. Derek Carr's supposed to play. So yeah, I think I go MT here in PPR over A-Chain, but it's definitely a tough call. Definitely a tough call. Walter agrees with me. Again, I think Walter's a little too low in A-Chain. I got A-Chain higher in my rankings than Walter does. But yeah, I do like Michael Thomas over A-Chain in this game. All right, let's get an update here on the Jags game. Looks like the Jags punted. I think Christian Kirk's already maybe over his reception prop. And my God, I mean, Jonnu Smith getting 2 catches, 22 yards. Well, Kyle Pitts, does Kyle Pitts even have a target, guys? Someone watching these games, does Kyle Pitts even have a single target? I don't think he's a single target. Just brutal stuff, honestly, from the Falcons. It's brutal. It's just so tough to see. It makes me sick. And it is 1st and 10 for the Falcons. They're marching. It looks like a little bit. Cardell Hodge just had a catch. Tyler Algier, I guess, is leading the team in carries and yards right now. At least Bijan has 3 catches, 21 receiving yards. I did like that prop too in this game. I think I said before the game, I like the Bijan, Pitts, and Kirk props. And all those, other than the Pitts one, are doing okay. Daniel Jones versus Purdy. That's Daniel Jones over Purdy for me this week. What about Jacoby Myers? Yes, Jacoby Myers is an okay start. I think he's got a pretty good ceiling. The Chargers have allowed the most points per game to receivers this season. But there's definitely a big question mark there with Aiden O'Connell starting. Aiden O'Connell's going to start. He looked great in the preseason. It's a good matchup for him. But definitely like a pretty uncertain spot. You starting Mostert over A-Chain? Yeah, I'm starting Mostert over A-Chain, but I like both. They're both top 15 options for me this week at running back. Kyron, Amari, or Moss. This is definitely a close one too. I think I have Kyron Williams ahead of Zach Moss. No, I don't. I have Zach Moss 1 spot ahead of Kyron Williams. Scoring settings definitely matter here too, because Kyron Williams in PPR is a little bit more enticing to me than Zach Moss. And then Amari Cooper's, yeah, if this is a PPR league, let's do this comparison. I think these are all pretty close projection guys. Kyron Williams, Zach Moss, and Walter likes Moss more than Kyron, and then Amari Cooper. And the answer is Amari. If this is a PPR league, you got to go Amari Cooper. If it's a half PPR league, though, I think it gets probably much, much closer. And it does. Still Amari, though. And then, yeah, non-PPR, it's probably Zach Moss. But yeah, I'm okay going. I'm going Amari Cooper over Zach Moss and over Kyron Williams. I'm cool with that. And Zach Moss over Kyron Williams, it doesn't feel great to me, but I think that is right, too. A-Chain or Derrick Henry? It's A-Chain. It's A-Chain over Derrick Henry. Samster, good morning. Good morning to you. It doesn't feel like morning because we're on London time today. We're on London time. There's a game going on. It's almost halftime, I think, in this game. Jonnu Smith, this is more receiving yards than Kyle Pitts. I mean, just absolutely brutal stuff. And yikes, we got a pick 6 for Desmond Ridder. And the Jaguars are up 17-0 now in this game. Pick 6 for Desmond Ridder. I wonder who was targeted on that play. Looks like maybe Drake London was targeted. Yeah, it was. Drake London, targeted short right. Drake London in London. He has 0 catches. And the Falcons are down 17-0. And this is a really interesting spot now for the Falcons. They're down 17-0 in this game. Calvin Ridley had a 30-yard touchdown catch. Bijan Robinson, he has 5 carries, 14 yards. He's got 3 catches now too. Jonnu Smith leading the Falcons in receiving over Kyle Pitts. Christian Kirk has 3 catches, 43 yards. He's doing okay too. But this is like where it gets pretty bleak for the Falcons. Like they can't throw the ball. And now they're down 17-0. And like we're still going to see them probably be pretty run heavy. They're just not built to come back in games. All right. Yeah, let's get back to this question here. Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Kyron Williams, Rashad White, or James Cook. Yeah, so you're starting Alvin Kamara. In a PPR league, you're starting Alvin Kamara 1,000% of the time. I think. Alvin Kamara has been top 3 in target share at the running back position. I've said this like a million times. I feel like in videos. I'm not sure if I mentioned on the live, but Alvin Kamara has been top 3 among a running back in target share. The percentage of targets from a team going to a specific player. He's been top 3 in that number for 6 straight years. He returns from suspension today. They desperately need him. And I think he's going to be top 3 again, from here on out, rest of the season. You got to start Alvin Kamara in PPR. He's my number 5 running back, or number 4 running back this week. And then I think I would go James Cook, then Kyron Williams. I think over Derrick Henry and Rashad White. I'm going James Cook, Kyron Williams over Derrick Henry and Rashad White this week. Debo or Tutu at flex. It's Tutu over Debo. Debo's got a low floor. He does. He's got a low floor. Ceiling's still high. I'm not benching Lamar. LMAO. Yeah. So like I'm cool with that. I'm cool with you not benching Lamar just in general. Like I'm a very big Lamar stan. But just be aware that he has the worst possible matchup this week. There's not a worse possible matchup for Lamar than this week. The Browns are the number one defense against quarterbacks, the number one defense against running backs, the number one defense against receivers, and the number one defense against tight ends. The Browns are by far the best defense in the league right now. It's really not that close. And Lamar's also without OBJ and Rashad Bateman in this game. So yeah, I'm kind of nervous for Lamar. That's why I have him in must bench category. I'm starting Brock Purdy over him, Justin Fields over him, Trevor Lawrence. I would have started over him, Joe Burrow, Daniel Jones, Geno Smith, Anthony Richardson, Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins, Tua. I'm starting all those guys over Lamar. Lamar's my number 15 QB this week, but I'm not starting Pickett over Lamar. Like, no, I'm not doing that. Addison or Hopkins? I think it's Addison over Hopkins. I really don't feel great about Hopkins. In Sam, we trust. Who should I put in the flex? Full PPR, Zach Moss, Ayuk, Amari Cooper, Javonte Williams. I think it's Amari. Full PPR, I think it's Amari here. I like starting receivers over running backs in the PPR formats. Good morning, Sam. I asked a regular question on Thursday, and I felt so bad. Luke, don't worry about it, man. You're not alone. If Watson doesn't play, I think Watson is going to play, but he is questionable. There's a real chance Deshaun Watson does not play today. Should I start Cooper? Pick 2. If he doesn't play, I still think Amari Cooper's an okay start, but definitely a much worse one. And then Madison, Moss, Javonte. Oh, God, yeah, I think it's Madison. I think it's Madison, then Moss, then Javonte. I think I would rank those guys in that order. I'm starting Alvin Kamara over Devon A-Chain. We got a Captain Sam question here. Mike Evans or Tank Dell? It's Tank Dell. It's Tank Dell over Mike Evans. And, Mike Evans having a great season, guys. He's gotten over 60 yards every game. I think he's got at least 8 targets in every game. He's got a touchdown in every game this season. But I really don't like the matchup for Mike Evans against Marshawn Lattimore. We've seen this matchup play out so many times. There's a historical beef between these guys. I think Mike Evans has been ejected at least twice when he goes up against Marshawn Lattimore. And Lattimore really has gotten the best of Mike Evans in most of these matchups. He's having a good season, but yeah, I'm kind of just buying into the historical Lattimore beating Mike Evans. And yeah, I like Tank Dell's matchup a lot this week. So I'm going Tank Dell over Mike Evans. Good morning, Sam. Good morning, Austin. We're on London time this morning, man. We almost have a game at halftime already. And let me take a sip of the coffee here. This is my 3rd cup this morning. Evans or Ayuk? I think I would go Evans over Ayuk. I think, yeah, I have Evans at 23, Ayuk at 26. Again, we're live on TikTok and YouTube, guys. And on the YouTube live, you get my top 25 rankings every single position. And my top 25 wide receivers, guys, I got 44 wide receivers in my top 25 rankings. That's a common thing for me these days with the wide receiver rankings, because I think the wide receiver decisions are really, really tough. There's a lot of wide receivers I want to start, a lot of wide receivers I'm unsure about. And so I got 44 wide receivers in my top 25 wide receiver rankings on the YouTube live. Link is right in the TikTok bio for free. Khalil Herbert or Mixon? Oh, yeah, that's a tough one, man. I don't want to start Mixon at all. I think I still have him over Khalil Herbert, though. I don't think I even have Khalil Herbert in these rankings, in these top. I don't. Yeah, it's still Mixon over Khalil Herbert. I got 30 running backs in my top 25 running back rankings, and I don't have Khalil Herbert in there. Why sit Debo? I just think the floor is low. He didn't practice at all this week, and this game might not be close. Tutu or Atwell? Yeah, I think Tutu is a better option than Atwell. No, that's the same person. I don't know what you were asking there, Tart, in the TikTok live, but I do like Tutu Atwell a lot this week. Waddle or Tutu? Yeah, you're playing Waddle over Tutu. Why I bench Dameon Pierce? Yeah, so actually, I think he's a fringe bench, not a must bench this week. He's been a must bench for me basically every week this season. It is a pretty good matchup, though, for him against the Steelers, honestly. The reason I've had Dameon Pierce in the must bench list, though, every week is the Texans have the worst offensive line in the NFL. They're playing practice squad guys still at the offensive line. And we've seen this be an issue for Dameon Pierce. Guys, Dameon Pierce does not have a game with more than 38 rushing yards yet this season. He does have 3 targets in every game. He did score a touchdown last week to save his fantasy day, but he's been under 7 fantasy points now in 2 of his 3 games. It's the best matchup he's had, though, which is why he's a fringe bench, not a must bench like in all spots. Actually did move Dameon Pierce up a little bit in my rankings here during the live, looking a little bit deeper into that one. I saw a Tua or Trevor Lawrence question. Finally, we got someone. Guys, we're on London time this morning. Trevor Lawrence is already playing. Calvin Ridley's already playing. Travis Etienne's already playing. Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson already playing. They're playing on London time in London. I definitely would have told you Tua over Trevor Lawrence. How did the Jaguars get the ball back? What happened? I didn't see exactly how they got the ball back here. Let me go to the full play-by-play. And yeah, okay, so Yikes. Big time yikes here for the Falcons offense. So the Falcons, they're down 10-0 in London, playing against the Jaguars, who really are a home team in London. And they throw a pick six. And then the next play, Desmond Ridder trying to throw it to Kyle Pitts. It's intercepted again. And then the Jaguars get the ball in Falcons territory. They start the ball, the Falcons 16. And then they go for it on 4th and 1 and they get sacked. And the Falcons get the ball back. Wow, huge turn of events there pretty quickly here. But yeah, the Falcons down 17-0. They got the ball at their own 12 now. There's 2 minutes, 20 seconds left in the first half. A-Chain or Miles Sanders? I'm going A-Chain over Miles Sanders this week. I got Miles Sanders a must bench this week just because of the groin injury. I'm pretty nervous about the groin stuff. He didn't practice at all this week. Russ or Tua, please. You got to go to it. Got to go to it. Justice Hill or Breida? That one's pretty close, man. I'd go on Breida over Justice Hill. I don't like the matchup for Justice Hill against the Browns at all. So I'm going Breida over Justice Hill. Definitely a better matchup for Breida. Tutu or Dell? All right, there's the question there. That one's definitely closer. And I think the answer is Tank Dell. Actually, it's Tutu. I got Tutu over Tank Dell. It's close. I could see an argument either way on that one, but yeah, I'm going Tutu over Tank Dell. And Tutu Atwell is actually the free player prop of the live today. Tutu Atwell over 51.5 receiving yards. The Colts have allowed the 7th most yards to receivers this season. And Tutu Atwell is at least 50 yards in every game. And he's got over 100 air yards in every game. I really like this line. I think this line's at least 9 yards too low. Morning, Sam. DeAndre Hopkins, Elijah Moore, or Quentin Johnston? Yeah, we're not starting Quentin Johnston this week, guys. He was a good ad this week. And he's like a high upside play rest of season. But this week, do not start Quentin Johnston in almost all situations. And like he has at least some ceiling against the Raiders. He's going to see more of a role with Mike Williams out. But yeah, you can't start Quentin Johnston. All right, then Elijah Moore versus D-Hop. Man, yeah, I'm down pretty bad on DeAndre Hopkins right now. This offense is just not one I want to buy into. And yeah, I have Elijah Moore over D-Hop. It's Elijah Moore over D-Hop. Elijah Moore has 9 targets in back-to-back games. Better matchup for him, I think, than D-Hop has this week. Sam, happy football Sunday. Joey, happy football Sunday to you as well. We're on London time this morning, too. All right, pick 2 full PPR. Hopkins, Myers, Davis, Dell, Elijah Moore. Hopkins, Myers, Davis, Dell, Elijah Moore. Pick 2. Yeah, it's Tank Dell here. And it's Jacoby Myers or Elijah Moore. And it's close. We got my wide receiver rings here at the bottom of the screen here, Joey. I don't feel great about DeAndre Hopkins, even though there's no Treylon Burks, even though the target share has been good for Hopkins. Like, this offense just is not sustaining drives. They're not scoring touchdowns. And they get the Bengals defense this week, and the Bengals defense has been pretty good. Gabe Davis is an interesting one. I still think I like Elijah Moore a little bit more than him this week. And yeah, I think Jacoby Myers, though, over both. I think Jacoby Myers is fine. I'm a little bit nervous, Joey, about Aiden O'Connell and kind of just the uncertainty there. But definitely interesting one. All right, we got some breaking news here from Xavier. And let me just confirm this news here before reporting it to everybody. I'm going to just refresh my Twitter feed. I trust Xavier, and I trust the comment section in general. And here it is. Deshaun Watson is not playing today. He is out today. He didn't practice all week, and he's out today. No Deshaun Watson today. And then also, let me see if I can confirm this Zeke report. And yep, here we go. Ian Rappaport right here on my screen. Zeke Elliott is expected to get starter reps today over Ramondre Stevenson. And that's a pretty surprising report here. And I'm still not so sure I'm buying into Zeke out touching Mondre. Let's pull this up here on the YouTube Live. So first of all, big news here. Xavier, first of all, thank you for reporting this. Thank you for reporting accurately on the YouTube Live. We're live on TikTok and YouTube, by the way, and YouTube is a better viewing experience. I can pull up comments on the screen on the YouTube Live and share my screen. And let's do a Mondre versus Zeke comparison here, because I'm pretty surprised about this report. And I get that Zeke played well last game, and revenge game for Zeke this week. Zeke played on 38% of the snaps last week. He had 16 carries, 1 target. Last week, Mondre, he played way more of the snaps, 65%. He had more carries, 19 carries, and way more targets. I mean, I really hope we don't see Zeke. I hope we don't see these numbers flip. As a Pats fan talking here, I don't know, exactly what to expect from this report. I guess Zeke will be out there first. Revenge game for Zeke, I guess. I mean, the yards per carry numbers are looking pretty bad for Mondre here. I think Zeke's probably numbers there are looking better. Yeah, they are. They are looking a little bit better. I still think Mondre is definitely the better receiving back. I still think he's the better back just in general. But yeah, here's the report. It is that Zeke is going to be starting over Ramondre Stevenson today, and definitely think we should adjust projections a little bit for that too. And I'm definitely a little bit down here now on Amari Cooper with DTR starting. I'm going to move Amari Cooper down, I think, pretty far now in these wide receiver rankings. I think I changed my mind about it. Like a lot of these Amari Cooper questions, I think he's got to move down to like here maybe. I think he's down to like around 29, 30 ranking of wide receivers now. Getting the receiver rankings right now here on the YouTube live. But yeah, huge news here about Deshaun Watson being out. And man, this Ravens Browns game is going to be a really, really interesting one. I got my wide receiver rankings up now. So why bench Debo? Yeah, so we're benching Debo Samuel because he didn't practice at all this week. Knee and rib injuries. Plus, we got a 14-point favorite 49ers against the Cardinals today. Like, they just might not need to use Debo Samuel a lot. And why would they with him dealing with injuries? Pitts got a catch. Let's go. Kyle Pitts got a catch. And I know how far was the catch is, my next question. I guess Bijan's at 4 catches, 26 yards now. Pitts has at least 8 yards. He's got 1 catch for 8 yards now. Jonnu Smith still tripling him up in yards in this game. Calvin Ridley's 1 catch, but it went for 30 yards and a touchdown in this game. The Jaguars really, it feels like, haven't had the ball like a ton in this game. They scored pretty fast, and they scored a pick 6 too, so the ball went right back to the Falcons there. Bijan's got 26 receiving yards. I think he cashed on his prop already. I think Christian Kirk's cashed on his prop now too. He's got 49 receiving yards. I think his line was like 44.5, which I liked a lot. Just need Pitts to cash, I think, for one of my bets to hit today. Why start Rachaad White? Yeah, Rachaad White's just the workload's good for Rachaad White. It's not a great matchup for Rachaad White, but the workload is really, really good and consistent. Kelly or Najee? Oh, God, yeah, here we are with Josh Kelly versus Najee Harris. And I think that in my running back rankings here, I got Najee ahead of Josh Kelly by 1 spot. So I'm going Najee over Josh Kelly. Pick 2, A-Chain, Ford, Amari. Please, Sam, I'm 0-3. I kind of think it's the first 2 now. With this news that Deshaun's out, I kind of think I'd go A-Chain and Ford over Amari. I'm going Kyron over Mixon easily. I think Mixon is a must bench in like 90+% of spots today. He's playing the Titans. The Titans have not allowed a single running back over 45 rushing yards. The Titans' run defense is very good. Top 3 in the league, in my opinion. We have not seen running backs do well against the Titans. Last week, Jerome Ford ended up scoring 2 touchdowns, 1 on the ground, 1 through the air against the Titans, but he still only had like 18 rushing yards. Mixon needs to score a touchdown or he's going under 10 fantasy points, like almost definitely. So yeah, it's Kyron for sure. Kyron's not coming off the field, guys. Kyron's going to lead the league in snap percentage at this rate right now. Pick 2, running backs, 1 flex, half PPR, Superman Sam, Connor, Sanders, Swift, Palmer. Thanks. 0.25 per rush. Wow, that's pretty. That definitely Connor has to be started here. I kind of think it's these first 3 with this 0.25 per rush. I think you got to go to these 3 running backs, Hudson. Appreciate the scoring setting insight here too. And yeah, it's these first 3. Bench Josh Palmer here. Do I still start Mondre over Roschon Johnson? Yeah, I think we do have to move Mondre down in these running back rankings. And yes, I still think you start him with Roschon Johnson. But yeah, I'm pretty nervous about this report here that Zeke is going to start over Mondre. I'm going to move him down here, I guess. And I think Zeke maybe needs to be bumped up into these rankings. God, I don't feel good staying Zeke over Mondre, but I also believe this report from Ian Rappaport. So we're going to put him in here right after Ramondre Stevenson. Mondre has dominated the touches so far this season. Last week he had more carries. Zeke has been more efficient on the ground, though. Mondre's been more efficient through the air. Maybe they're really going to just slot Mondre more into like the receiving role, that the Pats have done in the past, where like he's going to see the James White type of usage, which isn't necessarily horrible for him in PPR leagues. But yeah, I'm still starting Mondre over Roschon Johnson, I think. Definitely is closer. RB2, Connor or A-Chain, thanks. Yeah, James Conner is one of the running backs I'm starting over A-Chain this week. The usage has been so good. Hey, Sam, I've been using WalterPicks app, and I'm 3-0. Let's go, man. Yeah, the best way you guys can use the WalterPicks app. Check it out. It's free. I'm not going to be able to get to all the start-sits, and the WalterPicks app can get to all of the start-sit questions. So definitely check that out if you haven't yet. And looks like the Falcons punted or turned the ball over again. And the Jaguars have the ball with 27 seconds now. They're up 17-0 in this game. All right, let's get to this question. Which two should I start in a PPR league between Garrett Wilson, Tank Dell, and DJ Moore? Yes, it's the last two here. Bench Garrett Wilson, start Tank Dell, start DJ Moore. I'm benching Garrett Wilson for both these guys this week. I think that's what my wide receiver rankings say here. I got Tank Dell 1 spot ahead of Garrett Wilson, and I got DJ Moore 3 spots ahead of Garrett Wilson. So yeah, super close one, actually. A little closer than I would have thought. And yeah, Garrett Wilson's a tough one with Zach Wilson starting. And we've still seen Garrett Wilson ball out last year with Zach Wilson at times, but they get the Chiefs. Not a good matchup here for the Jets. They're going to be playing from behind, but we still haven't seen that lead to that many fantasy points for teams playing the Chiefs. Like, there's a story we can tell ourselves every week. Playing the Chiefs is good for fantasy because you're going to get. Meanwhile, the Chiefs, they've allowed the 5th fewest points to wide receivers this season. Only 1 wide receiver has gone over 20 points against the Chiefs. Quarterbacks have really struggled against the Chiefs. Jared Goff only 14 points. Trevor Lawrence only 9 points. Justin Fields only 11 points. The defensive line for the Chiefs is really good and not good news for Zach Wilson. Breece Hall is really, I think, the only guy I feel okay about. Christian Kirk cashed over 53.5 receiving yards. Need Pitts and Ridley. Yeah, Kylo. Christian Kirk prop. We liked that. We called that one out before the game. I liked the Pitts one too. I also liked the Bijan one. I think I that one cashed already too. We just need Pitts. We need Pitts to come through in the second half here. And why not, man? They're down 17-0. He's their second best receiving option. Meanwhile, they're throwing to Jonnu Smith. So, Kylo, I'm rooting for Kyle Pitts too. 2-2, Nico, Jacoby Myers, pick 2, AR-15 or Geno Smith, full PPR. It's 2-2 Atwell over Collins this week. I think I'd go Jacoby over Nico Collins too. It's Jacoby over Nico. Even with Aiden O'Connell starting, the Chargers defense is a defense you want receivers playing against. And Jacoby's been balling, man. His 2 games, he's balled out, both games. Deshaun Watson is out. Bench Deshaun Watson, and definitely Amari Cooper gets really, really scary. Joe Mixon or Brian Robinson. So I do not think you should start Joe Mixon today, but I think even more so you can't start Brian Robinson. Because it's like similar situations, but it's just more extreme for Brian Robinson. So here's why you got to bench both these guys. And I would start Joe Mixon over Brian Robinson. But so first of all, the Titans defense, top 3 defensive line this season. They have allowed not a single running back to go over 45 rushing yards against them this season. Last week, Jerome Ford, he had 18 rushing yards on 10 carries, 1.8 yards per carry. He scored 2 touchdowns, which is like conflating these numbers a little bit. Even with 2 touchdowns for Jerome Ford last week against the Titans, they're allowing the 6th fewest points per game to running backs. But you cannot start Brian Robinson over him because Brian Robinson is in even a worse matchup against the Eagles, who are allowing the 2nd fewest points to running backs this season. They've allowed not a single touchdown to running backs, and guys, not a single running back has gone over 40 rushing yards against the Eagles. Their defensive line is insane. Their bench players for their defensive line are starters on most NFL teams. Folks, do not bench Mixon. Yeah, so Mixon is a must bench, in my opinion. I'm starting Moss over Mixon. I'm starting Ford over Mixon, I think. I'm starting Sanders over Mixon. AR-15 or Geno. Yeah, I'm pulling the QB rankings here. I think I got AR-15. Yeah, I got Anthony Richardson over Geno Smith this week. And Russ is or Richardson. I got Russ over Richardson by 1 spot. It's a good matchup for Russ. Russ, guys, quietly having a good fantasy season. Like, the Broncos are 0-3. The Broncos are struggling. But Russ is balling for fantasy. Like, he's doing enough. I think let's see where Russ ranks in points per game, because he's having a really good fantasy season. I think he's had like almost 20 points in every game. He ranks 10th in points per game this year at 19.1. If we look at the numbers here for Russ, guys, week 1, Russell Wilson, 15 fantasy points. Week 2, 26. Last week, 16. He's got at least 1 passing touchdown in every game. He had over 300 yards now in back-to-back games. Now he gets the Bears, by far his best matchup of the season. So yeah, I like him a little bit more than Anthony Richardson. I think he's like a sneaky good option this week. Marquise Brown or Josh Kelly? It's Marquise Brown over Josh Kelly, especially if that's a PPR league. Ramondre Stevenson or Najee Harris. Yeah, I'm definitely got some pretty cold feet about Mondre, and I still think you start him over Najee. I'll pull up the running back rankings here. I did update them for the Ramondre Stevenson being it sounds like Zeke is starting for the Pats. Guys, Zeke is starting for the Pats over Ramondre Stevenson. Zeke is probably going to get more carries than Ramondre Stevenson today. I still think Mondre out targets him though. And this game might not be like, this could be a play from behind game for the Pats. Best player prop of the day. Yeah, the best player prop. We are 6-1, guys, with the free player props in this live stream. And the best player prop today, it is Tutu Atwell over 51.5 receiving yards. Fire this one up with a lot of confidence. The Colts are who Tutu Atwell is playing against today. They've allowed the 7th most receiving yards to wide receivers this season, per game, this season. They're bottom 7 secondary against receivers. And then on top of that, Tutu Atwell, guys, he's got at least 50 yards in every game. And they set in this line at 51.5. And he has over 100 air yards in every game too. So yeah, really, really good role for him in this one. I do like that a lot. Yeah, man, Christian Kirk's up to 71 receiving yards. He cashed. He had 10 targets. 10 targets for Christian Kirk. What we're seeing, there's just Christian Kirk games. There's going to be Christian Kirk games where he is the go-to guy. Ridley's getting the attention. Ridley did score the 30-yard touchdown, but yeah, Kirk's having a better fantasy day still than Calvin Ridley, even though Ridley's the one with the touchdown. He's got 6 catches, 71 yards on 10 targets today. Jonnu Smith, guys, if you're just waking up and you're not on London time like me this morning, halftime for the Falcons. They're down 17-0. Jonnu Smith has 22 receiving yards versus Kyle Pitts, 8 receiving yards. The Falcons threw a pick 6. The Falcons have done absolutely nothing offensively today. They look really, really, really bad to start this game. They're down 17-0, definitely in a really big hole today. Let me put my picks against the spread. I did take the Jaguars -3, so feeling good about that one. Sam, help. Let's get to this one. Kyron or Mixon, and why? Yes, Kyron Williams over Mixon for sure, Mason. Mixon, to me, is a pretty clear bench against the Tennessee Titans defense. They're allowing the 6th fewest points to running backs this season, even though they allowed 2 touchdowns to Jerome Ford last week. Hey, Sam, what can we expect from Ayuk today? Yeah, Luke, I'm pretty nervous about Ayuk and Debo. And like both these guys have a good ceiling still every single week. But both guys are, coming off of injuries, and they're in a game here where the 49ers are 14-point favorites, and I know these games have been close. I know these games have been close for the Cardinals every week. Like, they beat the Cowboys last week. But I like Ayuk a little bit more than Debo this week just because Debo didn't practice at all. Ayuk was at least practicing. We saw 2 good games from Ayuk so far. That first week, really, really good game from Ayuk with 2 touchdowns. I think that Debo's the better bet to be limited today. And yeah, I think Ayuk has a high ceiling, just a low floor in this game where like this game really could be over pretty quick. And it could be a really, really run a heavy game script here for the 49ers. T. Higgins. Yeah, start T. Higgins. RB rankings. Yeah, come to the YouTube live. If you're watching live on TikTok, guys, I'm telling you, come to the YouTube live. Link is right in the TikTok bio. You get my top 25 rankings every position. And it's actually not just top 25. In my top 25 running backs, I got 30 running backs. In my top 25 wide receivers, I think I got 44 or 45 receivers. Because, there's a lot of tough decisions here at wide receiver. I'm starting Addison over Debo today. I don't want to start Debo. I'm just nervous. Homies got Andrews and Debo benched. Yeah. So the Andrews one, so the Debo one, I feel pretty good about. Like, I'm just generally nervous about Debo. He didn't practice at all this week. This game's not going to be that close. I just don't see a huge target share for Debo in this game with knee and rib injuries. The Mark Andrews one, I don't feel as great about because just of the tight end landscape. Like, he's a must bench. If you have Kelsey or Hawkinson or Kittle, or if you had Evan Ingram, I would have started him over Mark Andrews this week. I would start Darren Waller and Dallas Goedert over Mark Andrews. But then I think you kind of have to start Mark Andrews. Like, he's still my number 7 tight end this week. But man, I just don't love the spot for the Ravens in this game against the Browns defense. The Browns have been the number 1 defense against every single position. You really don't see this in the NFL. And I don't know if this is going to last, much longer. But the Browns have given up the fewest fantasy points to every single position this season. Quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. I mean, it's crazy stuff. And the tight ends they played, not that great. They played Irv Smith in week 1. He had 4 points. They played Pat Freiermuth in week 2, and he had 2 points. Last week they played Chig Okonkwo. He had 3 points. So, like, Mark Andrews is better than all these guys. Mark Andrews is, in like an interesting spot target share-wise today because there's no Odell Beckham Jr. and there's no Rashad Bateman. But I put him on the must-bench list really just to say, like, not a good matchup for Mark Andrews at all. Really, really probably worst possible matchup for everyone on the Ravens today. Cousins or Hurts? Yeah, it's Hurts. You got to start Hurts. Let me pull the QB rankings here again. The 3 guys every week you got to start. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, almost regardless of matchups. I'll get the wide receiver rankings next, then running backs, then tight ends. What's up, Sam? What's going on? Start Mike Evans, Debo, or Thielen, pick 2. Yeah, this one's close. This one's tough. I think it's Mike Evans here. I'm pretty nervous about Mike Evans against Marshawn Lattimore. I think I do have Mike Evans over Debo. And then Adam Thielen, I'm behind Debo. That one's pretty close. I think Debo over Thielen is fine. Mike Evans and Debo, I think, is how I'd play that one. Adam Thielen revenge game today against the Vikings. Good matchup for him. But yeah, I still think Debo's fine over Adam Thielen, even though I'm a little bit nervous just about the injuries. I'm nervous about the injuries for Debo. He didn't practice at all this week, knee and rib injuries. Like I was kind of surprised he was ruled in so early on, given that he didn't practice at all. And like there was a report that he was seen walking like this week. That was the report that was like a positive report that he was walking. So yeah, I don't know. I'm nervous that the floor is low, especially if that game's not close. I don't think they're going to risk Debo out there a lot. Mike Evans, Mostert, or Pittman, full PPR. It's Pittman or Mostert here over Mike Evans. I think you kind of have to go Mostert. I think you got to go Mostert in this game environment over Pittman, even though I like Pittman a lot too. Sam, help. Should I start Henry or Ramondre? It's Henry over Ramondre now. We're sitting Lamar because the Browns are the number 1 defense against quarterbacks this season, and there's no Rashad Bateman or OBJ in this game this week against the Ravens. All right, let me update these running back rankings again because I kind of think it's Zeke over Ramondre now. I don't really know how we can say anything else than that with this report that Zeke is going to get more touches than Ramondre Stevenson. He's going to get the starter role today. And like I kind of think this means, the more I think about this, this feels like this means Ramondre Stevenson, he's going to kind of seed into this James White role for the Pats, which is a fine role, honestly, for fantasy. Like it's a good role for fantasy football. It is a great one. But it's not as good as the role he had before if he's not going to get as many carries. Definitely Derrick Henry over Ramondre. And yeah, I kind of think it's Zeke over Ramondre now too. Really interesting report here, from Ian Rappaport that Zeke is going to be seeing the starter reps for the Pats today. Okay. Falcons halftime tight end snaps. Kyle Pitts 19, Jonnu 14, Pruitt 12. Deshaun Watson is out today. Derek Carr is going to be playing today. Absolutely insane to think that the Falcons could have gotten Lamar this offseason. Well, just watching this game. Amari Cooper, DJ Moore, Sutton. It's DJ Moore here for sure now. With Deshaun Watson out, guys, Amari Cooper's a much, much, much worse play. Zach Charbonnet or Zeke on the free agents list, you got to go get Zeke. A-Chain, Moss, or Henry. It's Moss, then A-Chain, then Henry. And then I think I saw DK or Flowers, and it's DK Metcalf over Flowers. Why Michael Thomas? Michael Thomas has had a really steady role, guys. Really, really steady role. I think he's got at least 6 catches now in every game. He has a good matchup against the Bucs. They're, I think, allowing the 12th or 13th most points per game to receivers, maybe 10th most points per game to receivers this year. Tank Dell or DK Metcalf, got to be DK Metcalf over Tank Dell. Palmer, A-Chain, pick one. It's A-Chain over Palmer. I'm starting Tank Dell over Garrett Wilson this week. It feels weird, but it's right. And then Javonte also is a good spot this week against the Bears. Bears have been, I think, second worst run defense against running backs this year so far. But yeah, I still think it's Tank Dell here in a PPR league over Javonte. I'm playing Javonte over Jerome Ford, I think. Let's pull up these rankings here. I think Jerome Ford does get a small boost. Yeah, man, it's close. I got these close. I actually think Rachaad White should go under both these guys. I'm going to change that here in the rankings. And I kind of think it's actually is Jerome Ford over Javonte now. With this report that Deshaun is out, you got to think that the Browns go more run heavy in this game, especially with their defense. So yeah, I think it is Jerome Ford over Javonte Williams. I think there's more touches for Jerome Ford this week. Why bench Mark Andrews? Yeah, so let me pull the tight end rankings to put this in context. But Mark Andrews has a really bad matchup this week. The Browns are allowing the fewest points to tight ends this season. They're allowing the fewest points to quarterbacks this season, and running backs and receivers. They're the best defense in the league right now. It's not that close. That's why I'm benching Mark Andrews, but like he's still my number 7 tight end. So it's really like bench Mark Andrews if you have a real other option, which means like Darren Waller, Dallas Goedert, Evan Ingram. If you had time to get him in this morning, I would have said over him. I don't think Evan Ingram, does he even have a catch in this game? He has 3 catches, 11 yards, and he's not doing great. But yeah, that like it's a benchmark Andrews week, like if you can, but most people can. And so you still got to start Mark Andrews. And there's no Odell or Bateman. Ramondre or Jerome Ford, it's Jerome Ford over Ramondre now. Why should I bench Debo? Because he didn't practice at all this week with knee and rib injuries. And this game's probably not going to be close. Swift or DK, it's DK over Swift. It's Tank Dell over Zay Flowers. It's Puka Nacua over Pittman and Puka Nacua over Tutu Atwell too. What about Brock Purdy? Yeah, he's an okay start. This week. I got him at number 14. I'm starting Justin Fields over Brock Purdy still. I'm starting Joe Burrow over Brock Purdy still. Daniel Jones, Geno Smith, Anthony Richardson, Russ. I'm starting all those guys over Brock. Kirk Cousins. I have A-Chain and Mostert. So what should I do? Yeah, you're starting Mostert over A-Chain, but I also think starting both is like a pretty high floor option. I actually did that in a lot of my head-to-head daily draft contests on Sleeper this week. What about Khalil Herbert? Don't feel great about him just in general. Roshan Johnson feels like he's starting to eat more and more into that workload. Kamara or DK? Yeah, I'm not benching Alvin Kamara. Wide receiver rankings. Yeah, I got you with the wide receiver rankings here on the YouTube live. Guys, we're live on TikTok. We are live on YouTube. The link to the YouTube live is right in the TikTok bio. You get my top 25 rankings every position. It's a better viewing experience on the YouTube live, and it's totally free. And the second half is just now starting. We're on London time this morning, guys. We got just a couple hours till kickoff of the 1 o'clock games. We got a full half left in the London game. We're going to see Desmond Ridder just continue to struggle in this game. I do want to actually watch this Calvin Ridley highlight here. I didn't see this play yet. Wow, really good evasion there from Trevor Lawrence. And wow, just wide open. Calvin Ridley touchdown. His one catch today is a 30-yard touchdown catch. Enough. Sam, what are your thoughts on Breece? I'm in on Breece, like pretty big right now. I think he's a really, really good trade target this week. Like, I don't feel amazing about him. The Chiefs have been really good, guys, defensively. Like, really good. I think underratedly good, the Chiefs defense so far this season. They're allowing the third fewest points to running backs this year. Really just week one was the only week we saw running back points against them. And that was David Montgomery, 21 carry, 1 touchdown game. By the way, man, Monty is looking great for fantasy right now. And Jahmyr Gibbs, I'm still not panicking about, but the role is definitely not what we were hoping for Jahmyr Gibbs. He really needs to, we need to see some more explosive plays from him in fantasy. But yeah, the Chiefs, guys, not a good matchup for offenses. So yeah, definitely not good here for the Jets offense. But in general, like the increased role for Breece last week, he played a huge jump in snap percentage, huge jump in touches. He had 12 rushing attempts most of the season. And I think down the stretch, Breece is going to win fantasy leagues. And we saw Breece average over 16 points per game with Zach Wilson last year. So yeah, I'm kind of in on Breece in general. Great day for football. It is a great day for football. It's a great day to crush your fantasy football league mates. Hey, Sam, pick one. Ayuk the Bazooka, Tyler Lockett, Jordan Addison, and then pick Moss or Javonte. It's Lockett over Ayuk. It's Lockett over Jordan Addison. And then Moss versus Javonte. I have Moss over Javonte. I like both this week. Why is Ayuk so low? And Kamara and Kyron Williams. Yeah, so Ayuk the Bazooka and Deebo Samuel are both low in my eyes this week because of the uncertainty of the game script in this game. And both these guys, like there's a lot of, you can see the story that the coaching staff will tell themselves when they're playing the Cardinals. They're able to run super effectively against this team. Ayuk and Deebo are coming back from injuries. Deebo didn't even practice at all this week, so I like Ayuk more than Deebo. And maybe I do have Ayuk a little bit too low. He's at 25. It's really not that low. And then Kamara versus Kyron Williams. You got to start Alvin Kamara. There's no benching Alvin Kamara, especially in PPR leagues this week. I'm getting a question for running back rankings. Got those up on the YouTube live. Start Alvin Kamara. Swifter Kamara. It's Alvin Kamara. Darren Waller is a fine start against the Seahawks. Tua or Burrow this week. You got to start Tua. There's no benching Tua. Unless you have Josh Allen, unless you have Jalen Hurts, unless you have Patrick Mahomes. Otherwise, you have to start Tua. Really, Justin Herbert maybe is on that list too. Even without Mike Williams, good matchup for Justin Herbert. Otherwise, though, it's Tua. Like, those are the only 4 QBs I can argue for over Tua. Then it's Tua. I don't care about the Bills' defense being number 2 against quarterbacks. The Bills have played horrible quarterbacks this season. Sorry, not Tutu. I keep saying Tutu when I try to say Tua. Tua is just not a guy you want to be benching. You don't want to be benching really any pieces of this Dolphins-Bills game. DeAndre Swift, Ayuk, Dell, or Atwell, half PPR. DeAndre Swift, Ayuk, Dell, Atwell. You got to pick 2 here. Half PPR makes this close. I think I have Tank Dell, 1 spot ahead? Yeah, I have Tank Dell 2 spots ahead of Ayuk. And I have Tutu. Yeah, it's Tutu and Tank Dell. I like both these guys a lot this week. Evan, what's going on, man? Is Michael Thomas still a start with Derek Carr playing? Yes, he's still a start. Start Pat or Kirk? Is that Pat Mahomes you're asking about? You're starting Pat Mahomes. Puka or Garrett Wilson? It's got to be Puka. Thielen or McLaurin? That one's pretty close. I actually think I have. I do have Thielen ahead of Terry McLaurin. I think that makes sense. Revenge game for Thielen against the Vikings. They've been horrible in the secondary. Why start Jalen Waddle? Because he's in the highest projected scoring game of the week with one of the best offenses in the league. Sam, you're the best. Thank you, man. I appreciate the positivity. I appreciate all of you guys in this live. Seriously, shout out to all of you. We're 2 hours into this live. We got at least another hour and a half left. I love everything about these live streams. This is one of my favorite things to do all year. One of my favorite things to do just in general. And it's only possible because of all of you that are tuned in. So seriously, thank you guys for spending some time in this live stream today, whether that's 30 seconds, whether that's 3 hours. Seriously, thank you so much. The best way you guys could possibly support me really quickly is just following me on TikTok, hitting the subscribe and like button on YouTube. And then a step further than that, check out the WalterPicks app. It's free. And I'm not going to get to all the start sit questions in this live stream. I just can't. There's too many. I was going to get to as many as I can, but I'm not going to get to all of them. But you can get to all of your start sit questions in the WalterPicks app pretty easily. And Desmond Ridder, touchdown. Drake London. We got a game here in London. Drake London scoring in London. I think we kind of did call this earlier in the live. I know Drake London didn't have a catch, I don't think, in the first half, but Drake London, he got a 15-yard touchdown catch just now. And all of a sudden, I think we had a big carry here from Bijan. He's got 60 rushing yards now. And Drake London, 22 receiving yards, touchdown, 2 catches. And we got a game here, guys. We got a game here in London, 17-7 now. A Falcons trail, a TD London. Drake London in London. It's just too poetic. It was too poetic. We saw this coming, guys. We saw this coming. You know, sometimes you got to follow the poetic nature of the NFL, and you know the poetic nature of the NFL this week. If we will go deep further, one step further, because we're already seeing this, guys. Drake London scores in London. Calvin Ridley, revenge game, scores against the Falcons. Adam Thielen, revenge game against the Vikings today. We got Ezekiel Elliott, revenge game against the Cowboys today. We got some poeticism going on across the NFL this week. Sam, pick 2, Henry, Ford, or Swift. PPR league. Let me pull up the tight end rankings here. Henry, Ford, or Swift. This one's definitely close. And man, Derrick Henry coming off a brutal game. And I still think it's Henry. I have Henry one spot ahead of Ford. Let's do this comparison actually in the WalterPicks app. Here, let's also just refresh. I'm going to refresh my app because I'm sure there's been some updates here. David Njoku is going to play. And yeah, I want to compare Ford and Henry. Let's pull this up here on the YouTube live. Again, we're live on TikTok and YouTube. And on the YouTube live, I can share my screen. Come to the YouTube live, guys. Right in the TikTok bio. You get free rankings. Plus, I can share my screen to some of these comparisons you guys are asking about. I promise you it's a better viewing experience. It's just as free as the TikTok live. So there's no reason not to come. And yeah, Derrick Henry over Ford. It kind of doesn't make sense. Derrick Henry gets the Bengals, though. The Bengals defense has been better than the Ravens defense against the run. Derrick Henry's coming off a brutal game. 2 fantasy points for Derrick Henry last week. He averaged 1.8 yards per carry, but that was against the Browns, man. The Browns have a really good defense. I'm okay going with Derrick Henry over Ford, but it's definitely close. It's definitely super close. And with Deshaun Watson out, you got to assume Jerome Ford gets leaned on a little bit more this week. And yeah, he had a tough match against the Titans last week. These two teams played each other. He still scored twice. God, it's a really tough call in PPR too. Like, and Swift is not a guy you can't consider in this spot, but yeah, I think I would go Derrick Henry, then Ford, then Swift. That's how I lean. It's definitely super close though. Definitely super close. I do want to pull up here these projections. Let's see. We got, Dorian Thompson projected is in now. And we're going to lower here to some of the projections here for Elijah Moore, for Amari Cooper, and Njoku, definitely a slightly riskier play now too. All right. Njoku is going to play though. We did get that report. Njoku is playing. And we got Drake London scoring a touchdown in London. All right. Let's get back to some of these start sits. Let me pull my picks against the spread here again. Let me talk through the spreads, actually. I did like the Jaguars -3. That one's looking good so far. I really like the Dolphins +2.5. I think the Dolphins beat the Bills today. I think the Dolphins are better than the Bills. It looks like the 2.5 points is really just that home field advantage for the Bills. I don't see the Bills defense stopping the Dolphins offense. I really don't see any defenses stopping the Dolphins offense. I think this game is going to be really exciting, though. Really high scoring game. By far the highest projected scoring game. I think you want all pieces possible. Appreciate the gifts, by the way, in the TikTok live, guys. Appreciate the follows too in the TikTok live. I also think pulling up these spreads again, there's a couple others that I like here. I I do like the Broncos minus 3.5. I think they'll beat the Bears pretty handedly, even though they let up 70 points last week. I like the Bengals minus 2.5 against the Titans too. I don't picture that game. I can't picture the Titans beating the Bengals in this one. Is Cooper a sit since Watson is out? He's definitely much more of a sit now. I don't think he's like a must sit in all situations. Let me pull the wide receiver rankings here again on the YouTube live. I think I moved him down a lot though. A-Chain, Garrett Wilson, a Palmer, Addison, PPR, pick one, please. Yeah, it's A-Chain. Julius, it's A-Chain in this one. PPR league, like I kind of want to go Garrett Wilson, but I think it's A-Chain. A-Chain's going to see touches in a really high-scoring game. Burrow or Brock, down 0-3, man. Really need your help. Sam. Yeah, we can't go 0-4. We can't afford to do it. And you got to go with Joe Burrow over Brock Purdy today. Joe Burrow has a good matchup today. Sorry, I switched off those wide receiver rankings. I'll pull those back up in a second. But yeah, Joe Burrow is my number 11 quarterback, and Brock Purdy's number 14, and it's a good spot for him against the Titans. The Titans are a pass funnel defense. Guys, there's some pass funnel defenses. The Titans are one of them. This is why you got to bench Joe Mixon, because the Titans are not allowing running backs to go over 45 rushing yards. Their defense and their defensive line is good, but their secondary is bad. It's like a similar thing for the Bucs. Bucs, extremely defensive line oriented, really good defensive line, but their secondary is really not that good. Pass funnel defense. Same thing here for the Titans. And yeah, if we look at the Titans and how they've done against quarterbacks this season, they are allowing the 10th most points to the quarterback position. Derek Carr scored 16 points. Justin Herbert dropped 22 points. Deshaun Watson had his best game of the season with 21 points against them last week. Start Joe Burrow in this one. Even with the injury, Joe Burrow looked okay enough. Last week, he scored just 9 fantasy points against the Rams. But this is by far the best matchup Joe Burrow's had this season. Joe Burrow played the Browns in week 1. Best defense in the league so far. They played the Ravens in week 2. They've been pretty good against quarterbacks. He had 17 points still against the Ravens. And then last week against the Rams, dealing with that calf injury, he only had 9 points. But he still threw 250 yards, just no touchdowns for him. He's going to score touchdowns today against the Titans. I feel pretty good about that. Definitely start Burrow for me over Purdy. Good morning, Sam. Start one in the flex. Tank Dell, Mark Cooper, Brian Robinson, Michael Thomas, Rashad White. Yeah. So first of all, Ike, we are benching Brian Robinson today pretty easily, man. The situation for Joe Mixon is bleak against the Titans run defense. It's even bleaker for Brian Robinson. Like I would start Mixon over Brian Robinson, for example. B-Rob gets the Eagles, and the Eagles have not let a single running back over 40 rushing yards. 0 touchdowns to running backs this season for the Eagles. Their defensive line is elite. Another pass funnel defense is the Eagles, but their secondary is actually better than the Bucs secondary. It's even better than the Titans secondary for sure. But yeah, anyways, you're benching Brian Robinson. I know he's been good this year, but you're benching him. And you're benching Amari Cooper in the spot now too, with Deshaun Watson out. So it's between Michael Thomas and Tank Dell. Rashad White, I guess, is kind of in the mix here. But yeah, it's Michael Thomas over Tank Dell. It's a good matchup, guys, for Michael Thomas. Let me compare these two in the WalterPicks app on the screen here on the YouTube Live. Again, if you're watching live on TikTok, guys, come to the YouTube Live. Link is right in the TikTok bio. It is a better viewing experience, and you can see some of these comparisons I'm doing right on the screen here. And yeah, Michael Thomas over Tank Dell makes sense. Michael Thomas bust percentage only 22%, much higher bust percentage here for Tank Dell, higher ceiling for Tank Dell. Tank Dell's got a 6.5% chance to go over 25 points. Michael Thomas only a 1% chance to go over 25 points. That makes a lot of sense to me. Tank Dell has the better matchup against the Steelers than Michael Thomas has, but yeah, the floor is just pretty steady here for Mike Thomas. I lean towards the floor play here. Mike Thomas at least 8 targets in every game, at least 5 catches every game. And again, this is a pass funnel defense here for the Bucs. I'm okay going with Mike Thomas over Tank Dell. I think if you want to go for the ceiling, like if you are, for example, you play David Montgomery on Thursday night, like then maybe I'd lean Tank Dell and take a little bit of a risk for the higher ceiling. But otherwise, yeah, I think it's Mike Thomas over Tank Dell. All right, let's get another update here on this Jaguars game. Looks like the Jaguars are marching a little bit here. It is 3rd and 11, I think I'm seeing on the Jaguars 46. Not much more has happened. Calvin Ridley at least had a second catch, an 8-yard catch. He's up to 2 catches now, 38 yards and a touchdown in this game in London on London time this morning, guys. 2nd and 10. Maybe I'm actually a little bit behind here in the play-by-play. Let me actually refresh this in this game. All right, Ayuk or Dell. Yeah, it's Dell over Ayuk for me this week. Kamara, Michael Thomas. It's Kamara. I like Kamara more than Michael Thomas. Drop Shaheed and pick up Kelly, and then Stevenson or Kelly, or stay with Stevenson and keep Shaheed on the bench. Oh my God, this is a brutal question, because we get reports here now that Zeke is expected to see the starter reps over Ramondre Stevenson, and I believe these reports. Like Ian Rappaport is rarely off he's rarely off on these reports. I still think Mondre gets more targets than Zeke in this game. And plus the Pats are 6.5-point underdogs in this game, 6-point underdogs in this game. So you got to assume they're playing from behind too, which is good for him in PPR. Meanwhile, Joshua Kelly, man, I mean, I got people sending me hate mail about Josh Kelly must start videos. Josh Kelly was a must start each of the last 2 weeks, in my opinion, just based on the role alone. Let's do this comparison actually with Mondre versus Josh Kelly, and I almost can guarantee Mondre will project better, but I do want to just pull up the game logs here too for Josh Kelly because like the role is good, the matchup's good for Josh Kelly. Yeah, Mondre projects better, but we look at the numbers here for Josh Kelly, and he's played over 75% of the snaps. 2 weeks without Austin Eckler. He's seeing, at least 11 carries in these games. Now he finally gets a good matchup against the Raiders. It was a good matchup last week against the Vikings too. That's why he was a must start for me. And yeah, man, he's got 7 combined points. I still think it's Mondre over Josh Kelly, but it's close. And yeah, I don't think I dropped Shaheed for Kelly. I do think they got the bye next week, and then Eckler will be back, and Kelly will not be startable. Shaheed has been pretty good. I think Shaheed's like really, really high in the yards per route run metric. Like he's been so efficient this year. Let me actually pull this up. He's been really, really, really efficient this year for the Saints as their number 3 receiver. And yeah, Kyle Pitts definitely still in play here with the Falcons trailing. He's got 8 yards. He doesn't need that many more yards, like 1 or 2 catches, Pitts. 1 or 2 catches he can get there. And yeah, Rashid Shaheed in yards per route run, he's actually number 33 in the league now. I think after week 3, that went down a little bit for him. But yeah, he's been great, man. Zay Flowers or Kyron Williams? It's Kyron Williams over Zay Flowers. Yo, should I start? Should I hold Kareem Hunt? I think hold 1 more week. Let's see if the role grows for him a little bit. I think there's a good chance. I wouldn't say like the most likely thing, but there's definitely at least a good chance that Kareem Hunt is able to carve out the pass game role and the goal line role. And if he does those 2 things, then I think he's a guy you're going to want rostered. For DJ Moore or Tutu Atwell. Yeah, I like all 3 of these guys. Half PPR. I think you go Jerome Ford, and I think I got Tutu Atwell 1 spot ahead of DJ Moore. It's super close between those 2. I think I go Tutu over DJ Moore. I feel like DJ Moore's ceiling is maybe a little bit higher against the Broncos. Like really, let's actually do this comparison. I think this one's super close. I do really like the Tutu prop, which also is making me maybe a tiny bit more biased towards Tutu because like Tutu has had at least 50 yards in every game. His prop's at 51.5, and he's a good matchup here. But DJ Moore has an even better matchup than Tutu Atwell does. And I kind of agree with this. Like DJ Moore's boom percentage, 8%. That's pretty high chance to go over 25 points, and only 2% here for Tutu Atwell. But the bust percentage is much higher for DJ Moore. This is really one of these cases where like, do you want to shoot for the higher ceiling or do you want to shoot for the better floor? Because Tutu, he's been over 50 yards every game. He's got at least 50 yards in every single game. Last game was his worst game, but he scored a touchdown. And he's got over 100 air yards in every game. Meanwhile, DJ Moore just like a lot more volatile in this offense. His target share numbers have been good. But yeah, we've seen, really bad games from him. Tough call here. Tough call. I usually say, go for the ceiling because that's just my general perspective on life. Like I like to take risks that have higher rewards. But I think I lean 2-2 in this one this week. It's definitely close though. Both have good matchups, both good options overall. But yeah, I'm starting Ford. I think over both of them in a half PPR league. Jerome Ford's looking pretty good here with Deshaun Watson out. Brandon Ayuk of the Bazooka, Zay Flowers, DeAndre Swift, Breece Hall, pick 3 in a PPR league. It's the first 3 here. You're benching Breece here. You're starting the other 3. I think Ayuk and Breece is maybe close, but it's not a good matchup for Breece this week against the Chiefs. The Chiefs have allowed the 3rd fewest points per game to running backs this season, I think, was what we were just looking at. And yeah, they've been really good. The defense for the Chiefs is good. Not the week for Breece, I don't think, but I still like Breece as a trade target. And I kind of am hoping he has 1 more bad week, but the usage continues to go up so I can target him really aggressively in trades. But yeah, the Chiefs have allowed the 3rd fewest points per game to running backs this season. And we got the ball back here for the Atlanta Falcons. Looks like not much there was going on for the Jaguars offense. And yeah, man, they really, really need to put up some points here on this drive and to make this a game. They're down 17-7 right now in London. A-Chain or Roshan Johnson? It's A-Chain over Roshan for sure. I got A-Chain as my number 14 or 15, number 14 running back this week. And A-Chain was a really tough start to decision. Like I said, start Gibbs over him. I think I said start Montgomery over him too Thursday night. That one ended up being good. Gibbs one, we'll see. But yeah, the ceiling is so high for A-Chain in what should be the highest scoring game of the week. We saw a 50-point game from him last week. That's probably going to be the highest scoring game of his career. Like just insane stuff. You don't see that in fantasy. 4 touchdown, 220-yard games. But yeah, I'm starting A-Chain over Roshan this week for sure. I missed this earlier. Not sure if you mentioned it. Claypool is healthy. Claypool's a healthy scratch today. Yep, Claypool healthy scratch. You kind of have to assume it had to do with some of his comments that the media got out of him earlier about him not having a good role. But yeah, I do like Darnell Mooney a little bit more because of this. And I don't know, are we going to see Claypool again? Like, he was actually seeing pretty good usage. Like, if I pull up the game logs here, I was actually pretty surprised looking at this earlier when we were trying to project Claypool when we thought he was going to be in. He ran 100% of the routes last week. Oh, sorry, I'm not sharing my screen on the YouTube live. He had 100% route percentage last week for the Bears. He's run at least 80% of the routes on dropbacks for the Bears this season. He hasn't done much. He has 4 catches for less than 50 yards. Or 51 yards total, I guess. He did score a touchdown in week 2. But yeah, he's on the outs, man. You can't trust him, in real football or fantasy football, obviously. And yeah, Darnell Mooney definitely gets a bump without him. Thanks, man. And what about Thielen, McLaurin, Godwin, or Ford? Pick 2 PPR. Yeah, for me, this one's Thielen and Ford over Godwin and McLaurin. A-Chain, Jacoby, or Zay Flowers, half PPR. Yeah, I think this one's A-Chain too. I think I'd go A-Chain over Jacoby and Zay Flowers. In a full PPR league, I think I'd probably lean Jacoby. I'm nervous for Zay and Andrews and the whole Ravens offense against the Browns. But it's a weird thing this week with Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews, because on one side of things, there's no Rashad Bateman or Odell Beckham Jr. Really going to consolidate the target share down to Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers, and like Nelson Aguilar is like next. And they really don't throw to the running backs much. So like that's good for them. And we've seen Zay Flowers get really elite target share numbers. 2 games we've seen Zay Flowers get over a 32% target share in his rookie season. 2 of his first 3 games. Mark Andrews, we've seen see elite usage numbers in his career. And like you got to assume that both those guys have really high target shares. But then you look at the matchup, man, and yeah, the Browns defense is just not one I feel good playing guys against. That's why I have Lamar as a must bench in a lot of spots. I think you got to bench Lamar. And yeah, I like Jacoby more than Zay Flowers for that reason, even though Aiden O'Connell's starting this week. A lot of dynamics at play this week. Connor or A-Chain? I got Connor over A-Chain. I do like Hunter Henry a little bit today. I think he's my number 8 or 9 tight end, maybe 10 tight end. If you come to the YouTube live, you'll see my top 25 rankings every single position. Danny, thanks for the gifts in the TikTok live. Appreciate that, man. A-Chain or Rashad White? I'd go A-Chain over Rashad White this week. I'm going Tua over Lamar, like pretty easily, given the 2 games projected there. A-Chain, Elijah Moore, or Judy? A-Chain, Elijah Moore, or Judy? I think I would lean in a PPR league. It's probably Judy over A-Chain. It's super close. I think I like Judy more than Elijah Moore, especially with Deshaun not starting. Judy versus A-Chain. Yeah, it's Judy. It's Judy over A-Chain. And Walter's also still, I think, a little too low on A-Chain, but can I still start Mondre, also Muth or Ferguson? I don't know if you want to start Mondre anymore. I moved him down a lot here in the running back rankings. He's down at 26. I have him behind Josh Kelly now in the running back rankings. I still think in a PPR league, he's okay. I still think he gets the most targets in this backfield. He could lead this team in receptions still, Ramondre Stevenson. He's not going to be phased out completely, but I don't think he's going to get as many carries as we're used to. So tiny bit nervous here for Mondre with the report that Ezekiel Elliott's going to see the starting reps here. Thanks, man. Let you know if I'll turn that 0-3 to 1-3. I got you, man. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you all for being tuned in right now. Why Rashad White against the Saints defense? The role has been good for Rashad. I actually moved him down a little bit in the rankings as we looked at this matchup for him. The Saints have been a good defense against running backs. But yeah, the role for Rashad White has been really good. Let me pull up the numbers here for Rashad White. He's really not coming off the field. He's had over a 70% snap share in every single game. He's got at least 14 carries in every single game. He's got at least 2 targets in every single game. He's ran at least 20 routes in every single game. And this game's projected to be pretty close. So yeah, I think Rashad White's a pretty safe play. But yeah, bad matchup for him. I would say he's more of a fringe start than a must start compared to a lot of the must starts here in the TikTok live. Higgins or Thielen? It's Higgins over Thielen. Stafford or Deshaun? Deshaun's not playing. Deshaun is out. Ruled out already. Do not start Deshaun Watson. He is not playing. All right. We got the Falcons marching here a little bit. We got 92 rushing yards now for Bijan Robinson. He's over 100 yards on the day now. And it's 1st and 10. Timeout on the field. Falcons, if they put some points up here, all of a sudden we got a game on our hands. Could be an exciting game down the stretch here in London. Thomas or Dell? Yeah, I got Michael Thomas over Dell. I got Michael Thomas over Pickens too. Michael Thomas has been really consistent, guys. Start Palmer, Godwin, or Addison. Pick 2, please. It's a PPR league. I got you, Mustafa, in the YouTube live. I got you guys in the TikTok live too. Lamar is playing, but he's playing the Browns. And the Browns have been the #1 defense against quarterbacks this season. Watson is practicing Yeah, I'm at the Browns game. Watson is practicing. That is actually, thank you for the intel on the TikTok live. I really appreciate the intel comments, like letting us know, what's going on that you're seeing on Twitter, or if you're even at the games. But there's already been a report that Deshaun's out. He's out. It's been reported. It's been confirmed. He's not playing. So even if he's practicing, that's a good sign for next week maybe, but he's not playing this week. Palmer, Godwin, or Addison, pick 2, please. Yeah, this one's pretty close. I think Addison probably should be started here. Let me pull the wide receiver rings here again. Where do I have Godwin? I got him at 32. I got Addison down here at 43. So yeah, it's Godwin and Addison. I'd start Addison over Palmer. It's close there. I think a better matchup for Palmer than Addison. Let me pull the wide receiver rings here again. Can you show your rankings? Yeah, so if you come to the YouTube live, link to the YouTube live is right in the TikTok bio. I got my top 25 rankings, every single position on the YouTube live, scrolling right at the bottom of the screen. You're 2 presses of your finger away if you're on the TikTok live to getting to the YouTube live. By the way, if you're watching live on YouTube, guys, we've been live for 2.5 hours now. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. If you're watching live on TikTok, hit the follow button. I really do appreciate that. I'm starting Stafford over Aiden O'Connell. Okay, let's get to some of the actives and inactives. Yeah, let's get this out there. So David Njoku is expected to play. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the rookie for the Browns, he's starting today. Deshaun Watson is out. He's expected to start. Shoulder will not play. This has been confirmed and reported. Zach Martin, he's expected to play for the Cowboys. Bryce Young is going to be playing. Miles Sanders is going to be playing. Marquise Brown is going to be playing. Chase Claypool, healthy scratch this week. Tyler Higbee is playing. Derek Carr is playing. Elijah Mitchell is out today. Deebo Samuel is playing. Brandon Ayuk, the bazooka, he's playing. Cordell Patterson's active today for the Falcons right now. I don't know if he's even been on the field. Jimmy G, he's out. Aiden O'Connell starting for Jimmy Garoppolo today. That's an interesting one. Saquon Barkley, he's doubtful. He's not going to play this week. Let's keep going here. Anything else that I missed? Justice Hill, he's going to play. I think that's it. I think those are the main ones. James Conner, he's going to play. He was questionable for a second there. Marvin Mims or DJ Chark over Deebo Samuel. Nope, wouldn't do that. Even though I don't love Deebo this week with the injuries he's dealing with, I still think I'd play him in that spot. Elijah Moore versus Kendrick Bourne. Yeah, this one gets a little bit tougher, but I still think it's Elijah Moore, even with Deshaun not playing. Hey, Sam, help Amari Cooper, Nico, or Javonte Williams full point PPR. Pick 2. It's Javonte over Amari now, and I still think it's Amari over Nico. Nico has a better matchup than Amari, and a less volatile quarterback situation now. So it's definitely close. It's definitely a close one. 4th and 13 here for the Falcons. Pitts had another catch, so that's good. He's up to 21 yards. He's got one more catch now, really, to cash on his prop. Still lots of game left, and they're playing from behind. And we do have the Jaguars did just receive the punt. They're on their own 10, up 17-7. Pretty close game now in this one if the Jaguars won't put up more points. I think Nico Collins over Amari is still not something I'd do, though. I'd still playing Amari. I came from TikTok and still haven't answered my question. Burrow or Stafford? Evan, thank you, man, for coming from the TikTok live to the YouTube live. Shout out to everyone in the TikTok live, even if you don't come to the YouTube live. I'm going to get to as many questions as I can possibly get to, but I can't get to all of them. That's why you really should check out the WalterPicks app. It's free. It's in the TikTok bio. It's in the YouTube description. And it's going to get to all your start sits, custom league scoring settings. And if you pay for the premium, start the free trial for the premium subscription, you'll be able to sync your leagues. Like, look at this, sync now. You can sync your leagues, and it's going to upload all your players' custom to your league scoring settings and give you insights based on that. Anyways, Burrow versus Stafford. Yeah, so like this is what you could do in the WalterPicks app for free right now. You go to Burrow, you go to Stafford, and it's pretty clearly Burrow, in my opinion, over Stafford. Like, good matchup for both of them. Actually, a better matchup for Stafford than Burrow. So maybe not as immediately clear as I thought. I actually thought the Titans would be a better matchup than the Colts have been. So it's not actually as clear, but yeah, I still think Burrow over Stafford makes sense. I would still go Burrow over Stafford, but this comparison honestly is making me second guess that a little bit. I think maybe I'm a little bit too low, honestly, on Stafford. Let me pull up the numbers here for the players that have played, the QBs that have played against the Colts. So the Colts are allowing the 4th most points per game to QBs. Trevor Lawrence put up 18 points. Stroud put up 21. Lamar had 28. And yeah, this is the best matchup Stafford's had. I still think it's Burrow. Yeah, Stafford does not have a game over 16 points yet, which is kind of surprising because I feel like he's actually played okay. But yeah, I'm going Burrow over Stafford. Still think the ceiling's higher for Burrow. All right, Mike Evans or Debo? Yeah, I'm going Mike Evans over Debo Samuel. Definitely, it's a close one, but I like Mike Evans over Debo because Debo didn't practice at all this week. He didn't practice once. 0 practices for Debo this week. I'm just nervous about the game script in this game for the 49ers as 14-point favorites. I know the Cardinals have played games close, but I'm not feeling great about Debo this week. Still, the ceiling's high. I just think the floor is low. Kyron Williams, Kamara, or Jacobs? Yeah, I like all three of these guys this week, and I moved Jacobs down in the running back rankings. I still think he's ahead of Kyron Williams. I think I would go Kamara and Jacobs over Kyron. Tutu or Madison at flex. Oh, God, yeah, I like both those guys a lot. I think it's Madison over Tutu, though. Lamar or Fields, it's Fields over Lamar for me this week. Much, much, much better matchup for Fields. That's the same reason we're starting DJ Moore. Sam, what is the player prop of the day? Yeah, we got people coming back for these. Jake, shout out to you for bringing this up. We are 6-1 on the free player props on this live stream. We are hitting 86% so far. Small sample size, to be fair, to start, but we're giving a free player prop every Thursday night, every Sunday morning, and we're 6-1. We cashed on Jahmyr Gibbs over 2.5 receptions. And I also gave a free one earlier this stream about Christian Kirk. I also like the Bijan reception prop early this morning. And Kyle Pitts too, if he hits, that'll be 3 for 3 in the free props so far. But the official free player prop of the day that will count against the record, it is Tutu Atwell, over 51.5 receiving yards. Tutu Atwell has at least 50 receiving yards in every single game so far this season. The Colts are allowing the 7th most receiving yards per game this year. And Tutu's been over 100 air yards too, which is a really important metric for receivers. It means he's seeing not just targets, but deep targets, which is great for this prop. I think he can beat this prop in just a few catches. And I think he's going to have more than just a few catches. So yeah, I'm in on the Tutu Atwell prop pretty heavily today. And I think you should be too. Over 50.5 receiving yards for Tutu is my favorite prop of the day. Do I start Madison or Ayuk in a PPR league? It's Madison over Ayuk in a PPR league. Jacoby, Zay, Mondre, full PPR. Jacoby for Zay, man. In a full PPR league, like I think Mondre has the most legs. Like he's got the most potential in a full PPR league. But Zeke is going to get more carries than Mondre today, like almost definitely. I think the Pats will be playing from behind. I think this one's between Jacoby and Zay, though, and I want to do this comparison here. And it's super, super close. And Walter likes Zay a little bit more. He's got a better boom percentage, a slightly better bust percentage. It's Zay over Jacoby. Man, look at the matchup difference here. Like, we got Jacoby Myers against the worst. We got Jacoby Myers against the worst defense against receivers so far this season. Dead last, the Chargers are dead last against receivers. And then we got Zay Flowers on the full other end of the spectrum against the best defense against receivers this season. Like, just crazy stuff. But yeah, I still think Zay over Jacoby's fine, given the context of Rashad Bateman and OBJ being out, given the context of Aiden O'Connell starting. But this is really, really close, man. And Jacoby has been balling in his 2 games he's played this season. He saw a 38% target share in week 1, 27% in week 3. He missed week 2 because of the concussion. He's had at least 16 points now in every game. But yeah, it's Zay Flowers over Jacoby. It's super, super, super close. And I think Zay over Jacoby makes sense. I think that's fine. And I actually don't even know in my wide receiver rankings here on the YouTube Live which one I have higher. I think it might even be. Yeah, I actually am going to move Zay Flowers up here a couple spots. I think he still is a good option against the Browns just because of all the injuries. Let me pull up the wide receiver rankings here again. I'm going Zay Flowers over Jacoby Myers. Is Josh Jacobs a start this week, or should I start Madison or Moss? Such a tough call between those 3 guys. I have them ranked as Josh Jacobs at number 9, Madison at number 10, and Zach Moss at number 12. So they're all super, super close in my rankings. I have Jacobs, though, ahead of both those guys. I'm starting Tank Dell in a lot of situations here today. I'm starting him over Mike Evans. I think I saw a Tank Dell question I'm not starting him over Puka Nacua. I'm definitely starting Puka over Tank Dell. I think Tank Dell versus Jerome Ford's really close. I'm starting Breida over Antonio Gibson. Why bench Debo if he's playing? Yeah, so like he's not a must bench in all situations. I just think the floor is still really low for Debo, given the fact that he didn't practice at all this week. Didn't practice at all this week, Debo Samuel. Like he's dealing with injuries. And this game's not projected to be close either. So like what is the floor for Debo in this game? It's like maybe a couple catches and then the game's not close anymore. And then he's just not getting touches. So yeah, I like Debo, like in general. I still think the ceiling's really, really high for Debo any week that he plays. To me, the floor is lower than usual for Debo Samuel this week. DJ Moore or Raheem Mostert question here. I like both these guys a lot this week. It's got to be Mostert, though. We really cannot be benching these Dolphins players this week. You can't bench Tyreek Hill. You can't bench Jalen Waddle. And you can't bench Raheem Mostert. And in almost all spots, you can't bench Tua either. And then even A-Chain. Like, I don't want to bench. I am at number 14 running back. I got Raheem Mostert at number 7. And like all the attention that A-Chain got last week, because he ended up having the better fantasy day, guys. Mostert, he was the one that was off the field when the game was over. Like, he's still the preferred running back. Raheem Mostert had 45 points last week, and he saw 7 targets. He had more targets than A-Chain last week. That's a really, really encouraging sign, I think, for Mostert. He had 7 catches for 60 yards last week. So, yeah, I like Mostert a lot. I think Mostert over DJ Moore is fine, even though I think DJ Moore has a high ceiling. All right, full PPR. Godwin or Addison? Godwin, Addison, Mondre, Pacheco at flex. Yeah, it's Godwin over Addison. I do think that Lattimore is going to lock down Mike Evans, and that could lead to a good Chris Godwin game. I actually do like the Godwin props. Kayla in the TikTok live. I need 2. Jacoby, Tutu Atwell, DJ Moore, Tank Dell, or Higgins. Yeah, I think it's two Atwell and Higgins or Tank Dell and Higgins. Let me pull up the wide receiver rings here again. And actually, yeah, Tutu, then Tank. Yeah, it's Tutu Atwell and Higgins. I have Tutu Atwell a little bit ahead of Tank Dell, which is close. I think super close. Austin Eckler is still out. He's inactive today. Austin Eckler is inactive. We are at the end of the third quarter in the London game. I think I'm starting Tank Dell over Javonte in a PPR league, but I do like the matchup for Javonte this week for sure. Heading into the fourth quarter in this London game, 17-7 for the Jaguars. It was 17-0 at halftime, so Falcons are mounting a little bit of a comeback. Need a couple more catches here for the Pitts prop. He's at 21 yards. Johnny Smith has 22. Bijan Robinson having a great game. He's at 92 rushing yards, 32 receiving yards on 5 catches. No touchdowns yet for Bijan, but he's over 120 yards, and he's got 5 catches. So he's up to like 17 PPR points already without a touchdown. Bijan, elite option here in fantasy this season. I think he's the number 2 or 3 running back. It's McCaffrey, and then it's Pollard, and then it's Bijan, I think, in fantasy right now rest of the season. And I think those are the clear top 3. Rank them for flex: Thielen, Stevenson, Pacheco, full PPR. Yeah, I think I'd go Thielen, then Stevenson, then Pacheco in full PPR. Hey, Sam, Geno, Stroud, or Daniel Jones, please. Yeah, let me pull up my QB rankings here. Again, if you're watching live on TikTok, guys, I know I got my must starts, my must bench, and these are generally speaking, I think starts and benches this week, but there's 2 sides to every start sit decision. And you can get my full rankings on the YouTube live for free. Link is right in the TikTok bio. You're 2 presses of your finger away if you're watching live on TikTok to get all my rankings, basically. I have 44 wide receivers in my top 25 rankings this week. And I think I got 30 running backs in my top 25 running backs. So come to the YouTube live and you'll get my top rankings, and they're going to help you with a lot of start sits that I can't get to. Like this quarterback one. Geno Smith, CJ Stroud, or Daniel Jones. And yeah, I got Geno one spot ahead of Daniel Jones. They're playing each other tomorrow night. I think Daniel Jones is a good option, but Geno's a slightly better option just with the weapons he has. I still feel pretty strongly that Geno Smith, I think he's the best receiver group in the league with those 3 receivers. I know we haven't seen a ton yet from JSN, but yeah, I like him. I lock it over Collins for me. Sam, have a great Sunday. Thank you, Kylo. Thank you for tuning in again, as always, man. And appreciate you on London time this morning with me, Kylo. DJ Moore, Drake London. It's got to be DJ Moore. And Drake London, guys, we're on London time. London already scored a touchdown in London. That game's in the fourth quarter. You woke up too late if you aren't on London time today and you had London start sit decisions. We were in on the poetic Drake London scoring a touchdown in London, so pumped to see that. I would have told you DJ Moore over London, though, and I still think DJ Moore probably better than London, even with the London touchdown. Nico, Atwell, or Hops need 2. Yeah, bench DeAndre Hopkins here. Can we see the tight end rankings? Yeah, I'll pull that up in a second. I think Kyron over Tank Dell. It's super close, but I like Tank Dell more than Jacoby. Can we see the tight end rankings, and why do you have Pittman so low at 17? I don't know is that really that low for Pittman at 17? It's not that low. There's a lot of receivers I think I like. I have Pittman at 15, actually, not at 17. Maybe you're talking about the Walter rankings. I got my own rankings here. There's also rankings in the WalterPicks app from Walter, the AI model that powers our WalterPicks app projections. And those are based on historical game logs, projected game scripts, player props, so much that goes into those projections that make them so accurate. I disagree with them sometimes. I disagree with the A-Chain one a little bit this week. I like A-Chain more than Walter does this week. Yeah, Pittman's a top 15 receiver. I don't think that's low, but by any means. I'm starting T. Higgins over him, Waddle over him, Ridley I would have started over him, Olave I'm starting over him, and then the top 10 guys, CeeDee Lamb, Metcalf, Adams, Puka Nacua, AJ Brown, Diggs, all those guys I think start over Pittman. There's a lot of good receivers. That's why Pittman's down to 15. I don't think that's that low, though, just in general. All right. Adam Thielen over Nico Collins for me, I think, this week. I'm not starting Dotson at this point. It's a pass funnel defense against the Eagles. And Dotson definitely still has a reasonable ceiling, but we have not seen it yet, guys. Jahan Dotson was on my do not draft list. That is one of the ones that is aging pretty well. I got a lot of hate for that one at the time. I know a lot of people were in on Dotson this season. He has now 10 catches this year, not even 100 total yards, no touchdowns. He doesn't have a single game over 10 fantasy points. A decent matchup for him here. But yeah, I'm going Addison and Garrett Wilson over him for sure. I'm starting Garrett Wilson over Addison, and I'm starting Addison over Jahan Dotson. All right, pick 2, Thielen, Waddle, Pittman. Yeah, you got to start Waddle and Pittman, Josh. You got to start Waddle and Pittman over Thielen for sure. LeVar Ball is in the YouTube live. I'm starting. Let's see how far I moved Amari Cooper down here again in the wide receiver rankings after the news about Deshaun. And I got Amari Cooper down now at wide receiver 29, one spot ahead of Adam Thielen. It's super, super close. I got Amari Cooper still ahead of Thielen, but I would not knock you for benching Amari for Thielen. I would argue Thielen's safer, with Deshaun sitting. Tank Dell or Tutu. Yeah, I got Tutu a little bit ahead of Tank Dell. I got Tank Dell ahead of Adam Thielen. I got Tua over Anthony Richardson. I really do not think you can be benching guys in this Dolphins offense. You got to start Tua. He's my number 5 QB this week. You got to start Raheem Mostert and A-Chain. They're both top 14 running backs this week. You got to start Tyreek, obviously, and you got to start Jalen Waddle too. All these guys, I think, need to be started in this Dolphins offense. Puka or Olave. Good option, good situation to have to decide between. And yeah, it's Puka over Olave. I got Puka as my number 7 receiver this week. Really good matchup for him against the Colts. Colts are allowing the 7th most receiving yards to receivers this year. Puka is seeing elite target share still. And I think he has a better game than last week. Let's pull up. Looks like the Jaguars got a field goal. Looks like also Evan Ingram had a few catches in this drive. He's up to 11 points now. That is good sign for my head-to-head lineups this week. And I think I just saw 20-7. Now it's saying 17-7. It's 20-7. The Jaguars kicked a field goal. They're up 20-7. Falcons going to get the ball back. Hopefully we can see, at least one more Kyle Pitts catch here. Scary Terry or Mostert, got to be Mostert over Scary Terry. RB rankings. Let me put the running back rankings here for you in the YouTube live. Myers or Thielen? Got to go Myers, in my opinion, even with Aiden O'Connell starting. Why Tank Dell over Brandon Ayuk the Bazooka? Yes, let me pull this comparison up. I think Walter agrees with me in this one. And part of this, Ayuk has a really high ceiling, but so does Tank Dell. And actually, I don't know if Walter agrees with me. Walter has Ayuk over Tank Dell. But then we look at the matchups. This is, to me, a good tiebreaker here. Matchup for Tank Dell is so much better than the matchup for Brandon Ayuk. The Steelers are allowing 30 points per game to receivers, and the Cardinals are allowing 19. And part of this is just teams have been able to run against the Cardinals. The Cardinals are 14-point underdogs in this game. That's not good for Ayuk. It's not good for Deebo Samuel. That the 49ers are 14-point favorites. It means there might not be much passing needed from the 49ers. Plus, we know Ayuk and Deebo both coming back off of injuries. Deebo didn't practice this week. Ayuk at least practiced. But yeah, that's why I go Tank Dell over Ayuk. It's definitely close. Walter disagrees. Walter has Ayuk over Deebo or over Tank Dell. But yeah, I like Ayuk a little bit more than Deebo too. But yeah, it's close. But that's why I have Tank Dell over Ayuk. It's really the matchups. And Tank Dell, to me, his ceiling is high and his floor is even higher than Ayuk. A pick 2 for flex, PPR, Ford, Moss, Swift, Thielen, or Lockett. Help, please. I'd go Lockett in a PPR league. In Ford versus Moss, I think I still have Zach Moss. We got a sneeze coming. Bless you. Thank you. I think I would go with Lockett and Moss. I think I'd go Lockett and Moss over Ford, over Swift, over Thielen. Amari Cooper and Madison, it's Madison over Amari. We're benching Joe Mixon because of the Titans' run defense. Not a single running back over 45 rushing yards. Same reason we're benching Brian Robinson, who's playing against the Eagles. Not a single running back over 40 rushing yards against the Eagles. Both those defenses top 6 against running backs in terms of fantasy points allowed. Hey, Sam, love the channel. Thanks, man. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button on the YouTube Live and the follow button on the TikTok channel. Seriously, helps me so much more than you would realize. Really do appreciate that. Thank you for the follow. Just saw follow in the TikTok live. Choose 2, full PPR, Mike Thomas, Rashad White, Tutu Atwell, Ramondre Stevenson. Yeah, it's Tutu and it's Mike Thomas. In PPR, Tutu and Mike Thomas. Yo, Sam, thoughts on Mike Evans or Thielen, half PPR? Yeah, it's Mike Evans over Thielen still, I think. But I'm nervous for Mike Evans against Marshawn Lattimore. He historically has not done great in that matchup. D-Hop or Elijah Moore. Yeah, with Deshaun starting, man, this decision definitely got much tougher. I think I had Elijah Moore over D-Hop. Yeah, God, man. I still think it's Elijah Moore over D-Hop, but I don't feel as good about it at all anymore. You're definitely starting Tony Pollard every single week. He's my number 3 running back. Start Tony Pollard over James Cook. I think I go Elijah Moore over T-Hop. I just really don't feel great about it. I think that one's really, really tough. All right. Falcons getting the ball at the 25. Please, Falcons, throw the ball to Kyle Pitts. Please. He needs one more catch. He just needs 30 receiving yards. And he throws it to Mac Hollins, incomplete. I mean, just a brutal offense, man. Yeah, the Falcons are not going to be able to come back in games like this. Rachaad White, Kyron Williams, Derrick Henry start 2. Yeah, this one's close, I think, in my rankings here. I think I have... Yeah, I would go Derrick Henry and Kyron over Rachaad White. Definitely Kyron is ahead of both of them. Mostert over Derrick Henry for sure. DK Metcalf over Tank Dell. Alvin Kamara needs to be started over Amari Cooper 1,000%. Kamara is in my top 5 running backs this week. Let me pull my picks against the spread here again. My favorite picks against the spread this week. I liked the Jaguars -3 in this one because they don't lose in London. This is a home game for them, and they're up by 10 or even 13 points now. How much? Yeah, they're up by 13 points. Falcons have the ball, but the Falcons just are not built to come back in games. They just ran it on second and long. And then I do also like the Dolphins +2.5. I think the Dolphins beat the Bills today. I think they're better than the Bills, just straight up. I get that the Bills get a home field advantage. It looks like that is what the spread's coming in at, basically just the home field advantage. But yeah, I like the Dolphins to beat the Bills. I like the Bengals -2.5 against the Titans. I think they beat the Titans pretty easily. I also do like the Broncos -3.5 against the Bears. The Broncos let up 70 points last week, and they're still 3.5 point favorites on the road against the Bears. That's how bad the Bears have been. The Broncos are a better team than the Bears, and I like them to beat them by more than 3.5. I also like the Patriots +6. I think the Patriots can beat the Cowboys, and they're 6-point underdogs. Hey, Sam, Ayuk or Thielen? Yeah, this is such a tough one. I think I do still have Ayuk over Thielen, and I do. Yeah, it's Ayuk over Thielen. It's Ayuk or the Bazooka over Thielen. But it's close. And I'm playing 18 over Najee Harris. Man, they're like polar opposites. We're benching Joe Mixon because he's playing the Titans defense, which is allowing the 6th fewest points per game to running backs, even though they let up 2 touchdowns to Jerome Ford last week. Still is a must bench in most spots. Joe Mixon, he's playing a defense that has not allowed a single running back over 45 rushing yards. We're benching Debo because he didn't practice a single time this week. I wake up and get a job. This is my job. And I'm honestly so blessed that this is my job. And it wouldn't be possible that everyone that's tuned in right now, and even everyone that isn't tuned in, that supported me over the last few years, like this is a true dream come true to be able to do this. So shout out to all of you. And the best way you can support me is by checking out the WalterPicks app. And why is Dalton Kincaid so low? Because Dawson Knox is also playing. Dawson Knox is taking a lot of those tight end targets away from Kincaid. We'll do this comparison in a second. Loving the WalterPicks app. Thanks, man. Yeah, the WalterPicks app is free. It's going to get to all the start sits I couldn't get to, and it's going to be even more accurate. It's going to be custom to your league settings, and you can even sync your league if you start the 7-day free trial on the WalterPicks app too. Unmatched app when it comes to fantasy insights. And sorry, I wanted to do Kincaid versus Dawson Knox, and yeah, it's just a tough thing between these two guys where we look at the numbers between these two, and Kincaid's been a little bit better. Knox is playing a little bit more. Knox had 2 points last week, 75% route percentage. Kincaid had a 75% route percentage too. He also had 2 points last week. A good matchup for them this week against the Dolphins. I honestly kind of think I would go Kincaid over Dawson Knox personally. But yeah, it's just tough because they're splitting the tight end role. And like the Bills are throwing the ball to the tight ends a lot. Let's look at the receiving stats here, and pretty mixed here. More routes per game, just slightly. More targets per game, just slightly though for Kincaid. Really like lockstep here in general. But yeah, look at this. Like, look at the target share numbers here. And, we could be seeing an elite season from one of these guys, but since they're both playing so much, it's just kind of mid for both of them in fantasy. Both of them have just too low of a floor kind of in general. But yeah, both guys have a high ceiling, at least in this Dolphins game this week, with the highest projected over under of the week. My God, Jonnu Smith had a 33-yard catch because of course he did. Kyle Pitts. Jonnu Smith leads this team in receiving now. Looks like the Falcons are banging on the doorstep at least. They are on the 13-yard line now. They're on the 18-yard line, 2nd and 15 now for the Falcons. Big catch there for Jonnu Smith, who's having a really good game this week. 5 catches, 55 yards. Wide receiver rankings. Yeah, I got you with the wide receiver rankings here on the YouTube Live. Tua or Herbert? Yeah, I'm going Herbert over Tua. He's one of the 4 quarterbacks I'm starting over Tua. That's it. And I even think that one's pretty close. Like, I really don't want to bench Tua, but I have Herbert, Hurts, Mahomes, and Allen all ahead of Tua this week. I think that is reasonable with Herbert against the Raiders, even though he is without Mike Williams. DraftKings lineup. I got a pretty aggressive DraftKings lineup. I'm paying for the minimum price QB here with Aiden O'Connell, and I'm stacking him with Adams and Jacoby Myers. in this game that could be really high scoring, and I'm running it back with Josh Kelly. I don't think there's going to be very many lineups here with this play. Aiden O'Connell, Adams, Jacoby, Josh Kelly. And I think that is good in tournaments to have a low-owned lineup. I'm going with A-Chain as the other running back. Puka Nacua, I like a lot today. George Kittle against the Cardinals. T. Higgins against the Titans. Then the Browns defense against the Ravens. That is the DraftKings lineup today. What about Jacoby Myers? Yeah, I like Jacoby a little bit less with Aiden O'Connell starting, but I still like him in general. That's why I'm starting in my DraftKings lineup. Hey, Sam, James Conner, Javonte Williams, or A-Chain? Yeah, I think I go James Conner, then A-Chain, then Javonte Williams in my PPR rankings this week. I'm going Hunter Henry over Zach Ertz and over Dawson Knox. I have Hunter Henry at number 10 here in my tight end rankings. My God, they're throwing it to Michael Pruitt. They're throwing it to Jonnu Smith. We just cannot get a Kyle Pitts target. It's 3rd and 15 on the 18-yard line now for the Falcons. They're down by 13 against the Jaguars. A field goal does nothing for them here. You got to think they go for it on 4th down in the situation, which means they could even run it here on 3rd down potentially in this game. They're down 20-7. All right. Let's get to some more of these start sits. Javonte or Miles Sanders. I like Javonte a little bit more than Miles Sanders. I'm definitely nervous for Miles Sanders with that groin injury sparking up this week. DJ Moore, Chris Godwin, Josh Palmer start too. Yeah, it's the first two. I'm in on Josh Palmer just in general over Quentin Johnson, but I'm not in on him over DJ Moore or Chris Godwin. Hey, Sam, Woods or Quentin? Jake, I really think we got to bench Quentin Johnson this week. He should be more involved, but really Josh Palmer is pretty clearly ahead of him. So I think the floor is still really, really low for Quentin. I still like him as a whole, but yeah, I'd go Robert Woods. Judy or Tank Dell? It's Judy over Tank Dell, given the matchups this week. Both good matchups. Yeah, Judy over Dell for me. Sam, should I start Tutu Atwell or Tank Dell? Yeah, I got Tutu over Tank Dell. Super, super close. I like both of them, but I got Tutu over Tank Dell this week. Debo or Pickens? I still have Debo over Pickens, even though I think Debo's risky because he didn't practice at all this week. Ayuk is risky too, but not as risky as Debo. I think he's a fine start. Miles Sanders, James Conner, or Kyron? Sit one. Yeah, sit Miles Sanders. Sit Miles Sanders. Like, Miles Sanders, he dealt with a groin injury all of preseason, and the Falcons turned the ball over. Another pass to Jonnu Smith. He's got 67 yards. It's just ridiculous stuff here for the Falcons. And yeah, the Jaguars have the ball now. 6 minutes left. This game's over. This game is over. Hopefully the Falcons get the ball back for one Kyle Pitts catch, but yeah, this game's over. Miles Sanders, I think, should be sat because of the groin injury that he's dealing with. Can you go back to wide receiver rankings, please? Yep, I got you with the top 25 wide receivers. Guys, we are nearing the ending point of this live stream. We were on London time this morning. We've been live for 3 hours. I'm sitting Joe Mixon. You got to sit Joe Mixon. He's playing the Titans. Pitts, 11 yards. Yeah, we need 11 yards from Pitts, man. That's it. Just 11. We're not asking for that much. Just an 11-yard catch down the stretch here for Kyle Pitts. I don't know if they're even going to get the ball back now, though. Weatherman Sam, no concerning weather. We're benching Joe Mixon. We're benching Brian Robinson. Both those guys are playing really, really elite run defenses, pass funnel defenses that they're playing. DK or Puka? I actually have Puka over DK. I think. Yeah, I do. Puka's my number 7 receiver. You got to start Puka Nacua. There's no benching Puka Nacua this week. I think I got to that one already. Aiden O'Connell or Baker Mayfield in a super flex league? I think Aiden O'Connell over Baker in a super flex league. I'm cool with that one. Myers, Madison, or Lockett at flex? Yeah, this one's between Madison and Lockett. Madison's the safe play. Lockett's the stealing play. Jimmy, you got to ask yourself, do you want to lock in at least 10 points? Go with Alexander Madison. He's got a really good matchup this week against the Panthers. They have not been good defensively. They've been a good secondary, but they're also missing pieces of their secondary. But they've been horrible against the run game in basically every single game this season. The Panthers are allowing the 3rd most points per game to running backs this season. They've allowed over 16 fantasy points to running backs every single game this year. So yeah, I think it's Madison over Lockett. But yeah, Lockett definitely still has a higher ceiling. Judy or Debo? It's Judy over Debo this week, with Debo not practicing in a single game. Lamar or Russ? It's Russ over Lamar. It feels kind of gross. Let me pull the QB rankings, but it makes sense. Like, Lamar's getting a matchup against the Browns. The Browns have been the number 1 defense against quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends this season. Guys, if you're watching live on TikTok, make sure you hit the follow button. If you're watching live on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button. The best way you guys could possibly support me, and the best way you could get your start sits answered if I don't get to them, because I can't get to all of them. There's thousands of them. I get to maybe 1,000 out of like the 10,000 start sits in this live. I get to as many as I can, I promise. But the WalterPicks app can answer all of your start sit questions, custom to your league scoring settings. You can even sync your league to the app with a 7-day free trial, and it's free. It's in the TikTok bio. It's in the YouTube description. The app is going to help you, I promise, with some of these tougher start sits. Josh Kelly or Joe Mixon. I still think it's Mixon over Kelly, but I'm nervous for Joe Mixon against the Titans' run defense. The Titans' run defense has not allowed a single running back over 45 rushing yards yet this season. I'm playing Tank Dell over Terry McLaurin. I'm starting Alvin Kamara in almost all spots. Connor or Sanders? It's James Conner over Sanders for me. I swapped Debo for Nakua, but should I put Debo in over Pacheco? Yeah, I'd still start Debo over Pacheco, I think, especially if there's a PPR league, Zach. But I definitely would play Nakua over Debo. Let me pull the running back rankings, seeing someone asking for those in the YouTube live. By the way, we're live on TikTok and YouTube. On the YouTube live, you get my top 25 rankings every position for free. Link is right in the TikTok bio. All right, we got this game wrapping up here in Jacksonville. The Jaguars are just trying to run out the clock now at this point. We'll see if they're able to do that. Pretty bad game here for Travis Etienne. He's 14 carries, 40 yards. A good game, though, for Evan Ingram, who's up to 7 catches for 59 yards now. And good game from Christian Kirk, and an okay game from Ridley, who saved his day really with a touchdown. I think he only has 2 catches in this game. But yeah, the Falcons really might not get the ball back here, which is not great for that Kyle Pitts prop. And I think the Pitts prop is missing, guys. I think it's going to miss. All right, Javonte Williams or Swift. I have Swift a little bit behind Javonte Williams. The better matchup for Javonte Williams. I feel a little bit better about Javonte than Swift, but it's definitely a really close one. I like Kyron a lot more than Pacheco. I like Tutu more than Addison and more than Palmer. I like Addison more than Palmer. But Tutu is definitely better than both. Tutu Atwell is actually the free player prop pick of the day, over 51.5 receiving yards for Tutu Atwell. Guys, we're 6-1 on the free player props today. You got to start Waddle over Amari Cooper. You got to start Waddle over Tank Dell. Guys, start Jalen Waddle. Start Jalen Waddle. Start Raheem Mostert. Start Devon Achane. Start all of the players in this Bills-Dolphins game. It's by far the projected highest scoring game of the week. Tutu Atwell, over 51.5 receiving yards. Guys, lock that one in. He's gone over 50. He has at least 50 yards every single game this season. The Colts have not been a good secondary, allowing the 7th most receiving yards per game to receivers. This line's too low. I definitely go with Tutu Atwell over 51.5. And also, if you have not played on Sleeper yet, their pick'em game, I would go Judy over Elijah Moore for sure. If you have not played on Sleeper yet, their pick'em game, it's the best pick'em game out there. 100% deposit match too if you use code Walter on Sleeper. Link to that's in the YouTube description. Also, if you don't even need the link, just go to Sleeper and deposit for the first time. Use code Walter when you sign up, and you'll get 100% deposit match up to $100. Take that Tutu Atwell prop line over 51.5 receiving yards when you do that. All right. Thielen or Debo? Yeah, it's Debo over Thielen still. It's Freiermuth over Dalton Kincaid for me, but that one's, I think, pretty close, actually. Yeah, it's Freiermuth, though, for me over Kincaid. I'd go Connor, I think, over Rashad White rest of the season, but that one's pretty close. Palmer, Brandon Cooks, Elijah Moore, pick one. Yeah, I think it's Elijah Moore still. Even with Deshaun out, I think it's Elijah Moore in that spot. There's no concerning weather today. Timeout number 1 here for the Falcons. This game's over. 4 minutes, 30 seconds left. They're down by 2 scores. And Calvin Ridley just got a huge pass interference play. Unfortunately, he couldn't come down with that, but that pretty much ends the game right there. Jaguars have the ball at the Falcons' 40-yard line now, and they're up by 13 points. I don't think the Falcons are getting the ball again. DJ Moore or Thielen? Yeah, I'd go DJ Moore over Thielen. I'd go Pierce over Robinson. Pierce has a much better matchup than Robinson. You cannot start Brian Robinson this week. Dameon Pierce or Roschon Johnson. I think I'd go Dameon Pierce over Roschon Johnson too. Ayuk or Tank Dell. I think I like Tank Dell a little bit more than Ayuk. Yeah, I have Tank Dell a little bit higher than Ayuk in my rankings here. I like DJ Moore more than Debo. I'm nervous about Debo's floor, guys. I am. I'm nervous about the Debo Samuel floor. I definitely could eat my words on that one because his ceiling is still high, but he didn't practice once this week. And they're 14-point favorites. Jacoby, Addison, Judy, PPR, please. Yeah, it is Judy over Addison. It's Judy over Jacoby Myers too. I'm playing Godwin over Jacoby Myers as well. That one's pretty close. I still like Jacoby this week. Just Aiden O'Connell adds a lot of uncertainty there, starting in place of Jimmy Garoppolo. All right, let's read some of these official inactives here. Drew Holiday goes to the Celtics. Robert Williams and Brogdon? Yikes. I don't like that for the Celtics at all, really. All right, some official actives, inactives. Jonathan Mingo, inactive today. Derek Carr is active. Deshaun Watson is inactive. DeMar Hamlin is active for the first time. That's pretty exciting to see. Miles Sanders is active. Justice Hill Miles Sanders, David Njoku, Derek Carr, all active. Deshaun Watson, Chase Claypool, inactive. Looks like Salvin Ahmed maybe is active, which is kind of an interesting wrinkle here for Devon Achane. Ahmed was ahead of him before he was hurt. I still think Achane is ahead of him now, but could muddy things up a little bit. James Conner, Pacheco, Josh Kelly. Yeah, I got to go James Conner over Josh Kelly and Pacheco this week. Tua or Lamar? It's Tua over Lamar for sure. This week, we're benching Mixon because of the Titans' run defense. We're benching Brian Robinson because of the Eagles' run defense. I would start Kyron Williams over Javonte for sure. I think Tank Dell versus Kyron is close. I probably lean towards Kyron Williams over Tank Dell. I lean towards Lockett over Tank Dell. Michael Pittman over Tank Dell as well. I play Tank Dell over Collins, though. A lot of Tank Dell questions today. I'd go Tank Dell over Debo. Also, I'm playing Tua over Daniel Jones. Let me pull up the QB rankings one more time here on the YouTube live. And yeah, it looks like this game's over here for the Jaguars. They keep getting first downs. The third timeout was just taken, and it's a first down here for the Jaguars. This game's over. In London. The Jaguars beat. They cover the spread. Kyle Pitts misses his prop. Hate to see that. Trade Gibbs or hold. If trade, what's the value on him? Also, Achane, Dell, or Cooper this week. I think it goes Achane, then Dell, then Cooper this week. And then I still think Gibbs is a hold personally, but his value should be really high still in PPR leagues. I still think he's a really high ceiling in PPR formats, but he's definitely worth a little bit less than when you drafted him. Pacheco, Atwell, Tank. Pick one for flex. I go Atwell over Tank, but it's close. But yeah, I'm leaning Atwell over Tank. I really like Atwell this week. I think Ayuk over both of them is reasonable. I like the Tutu Atwell prop, though, a lot. I got Tutu Atwell over 51.5 receiving yards. This is the free player prop of the day. I'm 6-1 on these free player props so far this season, 86%. Take the Tutu prop, guys, over 51.5 receiving yards. He's over 50 yards in every game, at least 50 yards in every game this season, and the Colts secondary is not good. I'm starting Tank Dell over Zay Flowers. I'm starting Achane over Tank Dell. I'm starting Richardson over Lamar. Tough matchup for Lamar. No OBJ and no Bateman. Should I start AJ Brown? Yes, always start AJ Brown. Always start AJ Brown. Yo, Sam, should I play Zach Moss or Javonte Williams, or are you consider Cooper with Watson out full PPR? I think Zach Moss is fine. Yajma. I think all these guys are fine, honestly, over Mark Cooper. I'm okay with it. Definitely like pretty tough calls here, but yeah, I'm okay with Zach Moss. Honestly, I think Zach Moss is a pretty good play. He's getting all the snaps, all the carries for this Colts offense. Any updates from Weatherman Sam, DTR, Purdy, or Burrow? Yeah, I got Burrow ahead of Purdy and DTR, and the Weatherman Sam update is there's just no concerning weather at all. Not even a drop of rain expected to any of these games. No weather concerns, no wind concerns. That is the weather report today. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Time. It's the most valuable thing we have. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I'll be back live Thursday night. Good luck to everyone today. Enjoy the Sunday. Thank you so much for tuning in on the YouTube live, guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Have a good one. We are wrapping up.